to get another win and just play all these other super millions. He's a big player. Like I said earlier, he knows how to play that short stack. I was actually very surprised he knew how to play it so well, because normally cash game players are used to the 100 big blinds, but he was a phenomenal player. He's going to do good today.
Well, let's take a look at one of the hands that Alex Kolonias had on his journey to only his second final table, but hey, last time he won it all. And it's a pretty fun one as he was battling it out with Bird, Stevens, Giraffe Ganger, pretty brutal river. Talk to me, Nana, what do you see in this hand?
Let's see, so he defends the king 10, flops an open in the straight on check calls, which is fine, check on a turn, and then on the river he just check calls, which is a bit interesting. It seems a little bit tight. But I guess the backdoor clubs did get there, so he might be thinking, would I ever get called by worse? Yeah, I guess the thing is, when he sees Bert Stevens checks the turn back, he's thinking he doesn't have a queen there ever. So for him to go for a check raise on the river, he's thinking, well, if he doesn't have a queen, he's never going to call my check raise anyways. So if I check raise and get called, he almost always has a flush. So he doesn't want to accidentally value on himself. I'm thinking that's why he just check called that river. Is it still a little tight on the river? Probably a little bit, but it seems fine considering I'm pretty sure they're very deep in the tournament, probably final 2 or 3 tables.
Yep. Yeah, probably final 3 tables looking at these stacks. I think I'm okay with it. Like, yeah, it is tight, but there's a lot of things that beat you, right? He could have pocket 4s, Nanonoko. When I see a 4 on that flop, I'm like, well, what if he has a boat, you know? So you want to be careful. I think it's all right, and I did like the hand. Obviously, very unfortunate for Bert Stevens. Man, he had so many chips here, by the way. What happened? Even 9 million would have been a very good amount of chips to carry into the final table tonight. It's a shame it didn't work out, because we love watching Bert Stevens at these final tables. But it is what it is. We're going to move on. And then I think it is time to talk about our next player, who I believe is previously known as the... No, that's actually not him. I think we're going to talk about a Bulgarian. Let's take a look, production. Who's up next? Yes, it is Krasimya Yonkov. How familiar are you with Krasimya Yonkov, Nanonoko?
I have no idea who this guy is, but apparently he got third in the WSOPE main event, 546K. We have a WSOPE main event winner, but we also got a third place finisher. Don't know if it was the same event or not, but from Bulgaria, that's pretty cool. I don't think we see too many Bulgarians at our final table, possibly our first, but doesn't play the Super Millions. Felt like playing this one, and he's at our final table.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to regret it. Coming in with 50 big blinds, so plenty of play left. Yeah, it's good to see that he actually played in Roswell. I really want to go back to Roswell, Nano. I miss it. Hopefully soon, TM, we'll get a couple of vaccinations going and we can play some offline poker again. Be fun. Let's just take a look at one of the hands that Mr. Krasimir had, so we can learn a little more about him, as he had King, Queen of Diamonds here. And, okay, Nanonoko, okay. Kind of a gangster hand by a Gravy Boat. That's the guy who always loses with Queens and Kings, my dude. Anyway, Nano, talk to me, what do you see in this hand?
Actually, just a quick note, Gravy Boat, I was reading some poker news updates on the GG. He won the 25K on GG the other day. So, like your favorite guy, he's a pretty good player. Congrats to him over there. But for our hero here, Krasimya, how do you say that, Roddy? I have no idea.
I would go with Krasimya.
You see, you got the accents. I can't do those funny little, I don't know, those characters you guys got over in Europe, but Krasimya here. He's a PLO player. Did you see? I don't know if you noticed that, but
no,
in the little footage, they were showing footage of him playing PLO 4 cards. So, maybe he doesn't normally play no limit tournaments. Just felt like it's a big buy and let's go for it. Obviously, he's doing really well. In this spot, Gravy Boat limps the button with the 10-7 suited. MC Zane comes in the small, and then he pops up King Queen suited in the big blind, which just seems mandatory. The hands are just way too strong. Bets a flop. Check calls a turn, and then he check calls a river gem. Gravy Boat really went for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. As played, it seemed pretty easy as played, but it's pretty cool to see him pick it off a big bluff in Gravy Boat. I like the hand from. It was easy, well played. I don't know what to say. Nice chips, free.
It's fine. I think what stands out more here, other than Krasimya's play, is his gravy boat. Absolutely fully sending it here with 7-10 of hearts. Don't really see a lot of hearts on that board either, but yeah, he just felt like he could get his opponent off the
He needs a 4-color deck. Maybe he thought he had the 10 high flush, and it was like, oh, I've got the wrong suit.
Well, even if that was the case, he'd still be pretty dead in this hand, but I digress. All right, well done by Krasimya. Looking forward to watching him play some hands tonight. Let's take a look at the man who comes in as 5th. That is Sakwan, previously known as Spicy Chicken Sandwich. And today we're going to just call him Shankar Pillai. I mean, that's a beautiful looking profile, Nanonoko. He's made it to 5 final tables in 31 tries. That's obviously an excellent track record. A top 5, a top 3, and a top 3. I think tonight he might be all right with a top 3 finish, considering the fact that this is the 10 million guaranteed.
Yeah, I mean, 5 final tables, obviously impressive. I mean, look at that. At the very beginning, he did really, really well. July 14th, July 28th, 2 weeks later, another 3rd place, and then, you know, in August, he got a 5th place. He's a big crusher. He was a name I didn't know at all when the Super Millions started. But as we kept seeing him, realizing he's such a strong player, he won a bracelet in 2007. Man, he's been playing for a long time. Yep. He's just a great player, and you know, he's solid. Is he going to win it today? I don't know, because I see a bunch of 3rds and 5ths, and usually those are not the guys I look to bet on for final table betting. But I think he's going to at least do well enough to get a nice payday today.
Let's take a look at one of the hands that Mr. Sakwan had on his journey to just another final table for him. And this is a pretty wild one. Michael Zhang, one of our favorites, I think, Nanonoko, getting a little out of line here. But talk to me, what do you see?
Yeah, Michael Zhang actually check raises the flop with 2-8 on the Jack 7-7. He just got nothing, just a bunch of backdoors, and then he fires one more bet on the turn and gets caught. But for our man, our hero Shankar Pillai here, it just seems you know, he bet the flop with a jack, got check raise, okay, you got a call. Turns 2 pair, but on a paired board, of course you got a call in a river. He does check back the top boat, but I think it's a fine play. The reason is his opponent would check raise a 7 on the flop. When he makes quads, and he might just check that river. It makes a lot of sense if he thinks his opponent would bet a jack. If his opponent wouldn't bet a jack, a 7 should continue firing, but he doesn't know that. They probably don't play with each other too much. It's hard to get called by worse with the jack 9 here. So I think as played, it seems fine.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's take a look at our next player that has made it to the final table tonight, as we have 8 minutes to go until we will actually be starting to talk about some live poker. And I'm just immediately looking at the bottom right now, Nanonoko. He said we haven't seen him at these final tables before. Well, apparently the man got very, very close. Thomas Mueller, I'm going to go with the same sort of pronunciation as you went for. He's 2nd on the Austrian all-time money list, obviously a big crusher. But the Super Millions haven't really worked out for him yet. But he did get so close, Nano. A 10th place, a 10th place, a 14th place. But now he's finally here, and hey, it's the right one to final table.
Yeah, you would think he'd be at least break even by now in the Super Millions, right? With one of those 10th place finishes turning into something. But today, for sure, because the payouts is so big, he's a big player. I told you earlier he plays on No Limit Gaming, which you're familiar with. I thought it was interesting that he sold 23% and sold at a 1.23 markup. Seems like it's not a coincidence, right? He loves a 23 somewhere, because why would you sell 23%? It's either 20 or 25 or increments of 5, right? Like something stands out. But 4 people bought the staking. So that means the people who did buy a piece,
they bought a lot.
They bought a lot, right? Like there's guys out there who buy 0.1% of everyone, and then like they've got 100 stakers or whatever. But I think the people who bought him believe in him, and they knew there's value, and they're getting rewarded right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at one of the hands that Mr. Mueller had on his journey to his very first final table, as he was battling it out with Ben Ward here. This is a hand that if you're Thomas Mueller, it's just kind of lovely to play, Nanonoko. First you get aces, then you flop the ace-high flush draw, you turn top set, and you river the coconuts. I mean, it's pretty fun to play poker like that, but what do you make of this hand?
Yeah, from his point of view, the hand is really easily played. You know, you raise when your opponent limps, you bet the flop when you flop so strong, you get check raise, you call when you turn top set, and then when it checks to you on the river and you've got the nuts of the slow SPR, well, you jam, of course. And but I think maybe this hand history, we could talk about it from Ben Ward's point of view, because he's at our final table as the chip leader. Okay, so he limp calls with the 9-7. He check raises the flop because he thinks his 7 of clubs is a little bit too weak to check call the flop, and it probably is. Does got some back doors. Maybe he can move his opponent off or something. There's a lot of hands he would fold. And then he barrels the turn, and on the river he's just like, too much in the middle. I gotta call with the 7 of clubs, and bye-bye 3 million chips.
On the other side of this table, by the way, Nano, Javier also was up to 11 million chips. These guys have gone to war the final 2-3 tables last Sunday night. I don't know what they've done, but multiple guys that would actually have a proper stack at the final table have somehow not made it to our final, well, normally 9 to night 8. It's pretty crazy. Well done, obviously, by Thomas Mueller, but like you said, Nano, these hands are pretty easy to play. But yeah, I mean, he got what he wanted, right? You have aces, you get the full double up. Doesn't get any better than that. Let's take a look at the man who comes in 7th tonight in chips, and that is Javier Gomez. He does have a beautiful colored name, and he's got a real name. So let's take a look at his profile and see if we can make anything of this. Well, that is a man who is active over at GGPoker. We can see a couple of good scores over at GG, but obviously live poker as well. But he did satellite his way in. I'm actually a bit surprised by that, Nano. It seems like quote-unquote crusher, but he decided to play the 1K satellite. Maybe he just likes the satellites, maybe he's good in them. It's only his second high roll is Super Millions, but hey, first final table, first cash, and it's a big one.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he plays, we didn't post too many of his GG scores, but he's actually done pretty well there. He's won the GG Masters High Roller. No, 10K buy-ins is a big buy-in, but he did actually do well in the PSPC 25K. They were 5th, 334K. Seems like he plays a lot of live, based on the scores I see there. I don't know anything about him, but probably a pretty good player.
Yep. Let's take a look at one of the hands that Javier Gomez had. Javier Gomez on his journey to this final table, and has apparently won a monster pot against Ben Ward. I don't know how Ben Ward is a chip leader. Every single hand we see of Ben Ward, he's losing chips. What the hell is happening in the other hands? But pocket sixes versus Jack 10 offsuit, and then a no-call. What do you see?
Ben Ward 3-bets the Jack 10 on the button, gets called by the 2-6s, jams his not open-ended, but you know, a straight draw on 2 overs, and he gets called by the 2. Well played by. It's a big call to make all around. Like it's a tough one to make because this is very deep in the tournament, but it's the correct call, and really well done by Javier Gomez.
Yeah, that is obviously a scary one to make with the 6s. With his tournament live on the line, deep into the tournament. At this point, maybe Ben Ward was getting a little carried away. He's like, I'm chip leading, I want to win every pot. Doesn't tell us much, but obviously we'll learn a lot more as soon as the cards go up in the virtual era, which is in 2 minutes. So we got to speed up a little bit because we still have another hand to cover too. Let's take a look at the man who comes in 8th place tonight. That is Gerard. You know, if I look at this name, I think he's a Liverpool fan. Because it sounds like Stevie Gerrard, but then it's like when Gerrard scores a banger of a goal, the commentators would be like, Gerrard! And that's kind of his name, so that's what I'm making of it.
You better also go with that when he doubles up. Gerrard!
Well, let's hope he doesn't slip. I don't know if you understand that reference or not. But anyways, satellited his way in first, high roller Super Millions. We can take a look at some of his previous GGPoker results. Plays a decent amount by the looks of everything, but doesn't normally play 10Ks or 5Ks even, or 25Ks, so this profile doesn't tell us much. Let's just take a look at one of the hands that he had that gave him some chips to make it to the final table, even though he comes in as the short stack. Queen 3 offsuit against Jack 7 suited, and then a no-co. What do you make of it?
Limp pot, but great call on the turn. He just got bottom pair, and he makes the call, and it's a small pot, but it's an important one. Really nicely played.
All right. Well, then we have at least 2 more hands we want to show you guys. Because obviously we only have 8 players tonight. So I believe that these graphics are ready. I'm not 1000% sure. But if we do, it would be awesome to take a look at what happened at the final table bubble. as we have 1 minute. I don't know if this is ready or not. Maybe I'm just making this up. No, it's not ready. They're like, shut up, Roddy. Well, anyway, what I can tell you is that Ben Ward apparently won a pot against Wei Zhao. Jack 10 offsuit pre-flop all in against Queen 5, but Ben Ward is Queen 5 flop top pair and held. And then the other one was a big one between Alex Kolonias and one of your favorites, Nano, Ole Shemyon. He had a decent amount of chips. Weitze, the German dude, actually, he's the one who opened. Ole Shemyon's like, well, I've got 4 million chips. I've got ace jack. I'm jamming it in because I want to take those chippies. And then Alex Kolonias woke up with ace king offsuit in the big blind. So he called Ole Shemyon, and that's why Ole Shemyon is not at our final table tonight.
Yeah, there were a lot of big names. I was looking at the last three times, like, okay, we can get Bert Stevens, we can get Shemion in there, maybe we get the Javera, and all of them just busted. And we're like, let's bring in a bunch of new guys into our final table. Well, hopefully they don't disappoint today.
I don't think they will, Nano. I don't think they will. So we're going to take a look at the seat selection process. Obviously funny as well with an empty seat. We have done
Roddy,
this for 39 weeks, and we have not seen it
I've got
yet.
to ask right away before you finish. Can you
Mhm.
pick the empty seat? Can you swap with it?
That's a good question. I have actually never been in that position. I think you can. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't. So yeah, I think you can do that. That's a good question, Nano. I've never made it to a final table with an empty seat. And even if I did, I definitely didn't try to swap with the empty seat because it seems a bit silly. But yeah, I think you could do that. I don't see any reason why you can't.
It probably crashes the client, everything just breaks. Like someone has the opportunity to do it, but they're not going to try. They're like, I really actually want to take position on someone, but that would be pretty funny.
Well, let's see if Ben Ward actually takes position on Weizen or not. Because I know that's what he's supposed to do. But then you've got the three guys with monster stacks all next to each other. Yeah, he goes where Gerard is. So he takes position on Thomas Mueller. All right. Well, Nanonoko, shuffle up and deal before the first cards are shown. Who's going to win it tonight, mate?
I've got to go with the chip leader today, Roddy. I have not picked a winner in a long time. I'm going with the guy with the mathematical favorite. He's a cash game pro. Apparently, every single hand history is about him, so Ben Ward is my pick today. What about you, Roddy?
Well, I won't be upset if Ben Ward wins it because we do have 75 bucks on him. But I think I'll just go with another big stack. I mean, if you're going to be lame, I'm going to be lame too. But I have proven my point. Last week's, I picked winner after winner with shortest stacks. So I'll make it a bit easier on myself. I feel like I deserve this pass. I'll go for Alex Kolonias. And we know that he's good. He's won a high roller super millions before. And he comes in with 17 million chips. So it seems like a pretty obvious solid choice to me.
Yep, well, we'll see. Either way, if one of us picks correctly, you win some monies today, right? You got $75 a piece on them. So you're anti-sweating the other six people just a little bit. I know you're not going to be too biased about it, but
No.
I know you'll be a little bit happy if you see some big suck out. But anyways,
Wow.
it's two jacks jamming. Standard play in my opinion.
Gerard! From
Exactly.
outside the box, Gerard with an absolute screamer. I don't think we can call this ever with ace 10 offsuit. Man, this man is not afraid. We were just talking about ICM. Obviously, Jax is amazing, don't get me wrong. And I know that we always tease the guys who fold pocket Jacks, but yeah, he's like, you know what? I come in as short stack. I've got 20 bigs. I'm not seeing any flops with Jacks. If you have it, you have it. Let's go. I love it.
Yep. So we're guaranteed 244,000. It's a 5.5 buy-in pay jump. 209. It's a big one,
No,
right? Because
Nanonoko, we have 8 players tonight.
oh my gosh,
Mm.
why are they showing us the ninth place finish? Oh, because then I guess our graphics would be all messed up. All right. So we're guaranteed 300,000 now, and
Yep.
now we can get an 8 buy-in pay jump. Is that 386 if I'm reading correctly?
Yes, I think you are correct. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
actually I have it on my
Oh,
phone.
366. It's 366. I pulled it up. Sorry. So it's a 6.5 buy-in pay jump. It's a big one. Um, we'll see if play changes at all. And we actually have a potentially interesting situation coming up. Mueller, nines on the button. Ben Ward's got a chip lead, 6-5 of diamonds. We don't know if he's like kind of a crazy kind of player and just does something crazy, but you never know. If he makes a move here, he's in big, big trouble. But Javier Gomez has a very playable hand too.
Mm-hmm. If Ben Ward calls, then I think Javier Gomez can just call, right? And see a flop with a suited ace. Totally fine.
Yeah, could for sure. Ben Ward's thinking about three betting. You can see, he's like, hand looks too pretty. It's a little bit too connected. Um, well, this would be a big misstep if he happens to make a big move here.
He
Nice
folds.
timeout fold. I like it. Now the ace four of clubs. I think the standard is to call. Some people might jam it in. He's got 22 big blinds. Definitely a reasonable hand to reshove with, but
Yeah.
I think I play a little safe. I just got to this final table, Roddy. I'm not looking to bail out yet.
If you wait a day and a half to play a final table, probably one of the biggest final tables that a lot of these guys have played in their career, I don't think we really need to jam ace four suited two hands in. You know that if you call, there's going to be a lot of bad flops, and there is a good chance you'll lose some chips. But I don't really want to share the story where you hype up to all your friends, hey, I made a final table for 10 million guaranteed. It's happening on Tuesday night. Tune in. And then two hands in, you're busting with ace four suited. I don't think that's necessary, especially not if you still have over 20 bigs. I kind of just like to play. And this is where it becomes a bit tricky, right? Because if you flop a pair, they say you have to continue, but it's bottom pair. Okay, he does continue. I would have preferred to see him continue if that seven was like the seven of clubs, or if it was a queen of clubs. Without any clubs, I think I'd actually be okay with folding bottom pair.
No, I don't think I could fold this bottom pair ever. The reason is
Okay.
it's too often the best hand. People just fire c-bets so often on flop for tiny bets. Plus, if you hit a four, it's very disguised. But if you hit an ace, it's a good card for your opponent to barrel on, and obviously if you have the top two. So I would never fold this. On the turn, though, I feel like I probably have to get away. It looks like I'm getting milked a little bit. He makes the call, and well, Gomez is the guy he called off against Ben Ward of the two sixes, if I recall correctly. So he's not
Yes.
afraid, but
Yeah, but
he's
that was
wrong.
on the flop. That was on the flop, right? That's a bit different than like somebody who's betting all three streets. It goes check, check on the river. And Thomas Mueller is off to a good start as he wins a pot of 4.5 million chips. That's good news for all the people who put some money on him. You said he was probably one of the better guys to put some money on. Well, solid start for him.
Yep, definitely. For one of the shorter stacks, he's definitely one of the guys I was worth putting money on. Two sixes. I think in this spot the standard is to fold. I know they're playing. Yeah, he is going to fold. They are playing 30 big blinds, but you don't want to have too big of a flatting range at such a big final table because the pay jumps are big. You kind of just want to stay out of the way and be aggressive when you can.
Not the worst flop for Krasimir over here with his Jack 10 offsuit as he flops an open ender.
Yeah, actually a really bad flop for Pillai, right? Because he's got a lot of draws he's up against, but he's got two overs too, so it's like really confusing.
Hmm.
Once the opponent like does something on a flop, like it's actually really hard for him to win this hand, in my opinion.
I agree. The only way that I think Pillai wins his hand if it goes like check, check, oh, check. Well, that is not the worst card, obviously. Seven of diamonds shouldn't change that much. I would be totally okay with checking back the eights here, even though we know that maybe betting is better because he's technically ahead. But how do you bet eights here? Now, that's a good run out because how likely is it that your opponent is sitting on trip queens here, Nanonoko?
If there was a chance he could have called a riverbed, it's definitely with a queen pairing.
Mm-hmm.
Like his opponent might not even value bet a nine here too often, especially if it's a weak kicker. So it kind of looks like a draw or a queen. It's going to be a tough spot for Pillai, assuming Yankov here does bet the river. I believe he will. I don't think he thinks Jack 10 is ever good. He's just trying to figure out what size to use. I would
All
be
right.
thinking if I'm the Jack 10 is would my opponent bet a queen again on the turn?
Wow. He does fire 1.4 million. Like, I totally agree with you. Obviously, he doesn't think that Jack 10 is good, but do you have to win every hand you play at these final tables, Nananoka? Why can't you just say goodbye to your 1.1 million chips that you committed? Why do you have to risk losing more?
Yeah, I mean, just sometimes there's too much to fight for in the middle. Once your opponent checks back the turn, they look so weak, right? If they had a queen plus, they would keep betting. It just seems the likelihood of you winning by betting increases so much. You don't have to win every bot, but you need to think about the ones where you probably could. Anyways, it's
Mhm.
on Shankar Pillai here. He's got the two eights. He's thinking about what we said. He's up against. Does his opponent have a draw? Does he have a queen? He does make the
Oh,
fold. Ouch.
Yeah, that's a crappy start for Mr. Sakwan. Spicy chicken sandwich, as we had him at our previous final tables. Can't fault him too much for it. Obviously, a difficult call. It's a lot of chips for him. If he's wrong there, he is the second shortest stack. So I get it, Nanonoko. But yeah, if there was a card to call that river, maybe that queen pairing was perhaps the perfect card for the pocket eights. But it's very easy for us to say, well, we see all the cards.
Yeah, it's a tough play there. Yankov, he is the PLO guy based on the little video that we had of footage of him playing. So that was a very smooth play, and he's actually up amongst the chip leaders now himself. So we got 4 guys at the same stack.
You know what I just imagine right now is that this dude has played no limit tournaments for like his entire life. And then one time he's at Rosvedov and they're like, hey, we've got a PLO VIP team going. You want to go play some games on the camera final table? He's like, oh, yeah, sure. You know, I'll play a little bit on the future table. And now you're just calling him a PLO guy all night long just because he played a couple hands of PLO. Is the man not allowed to have some fun, Nananoka?
He's like you, right? Have some fun with some PLO. Um, okay, so this is blind versus blind limp pot. Check on the flop, and he's betting the king eight. Gets called, of course, by the top pair. He's going nowhere. I believe Yankov thought he was just kind of protecting his hand with the king high. He thought it was the best hand, but once he gets called, now he's like, "What can I get to fold?" And I guess it would be a 4.
This was a limp pot, correct? Yeah, it was.
Yes, it was. Check on the flop. Be a little bit surprised if Yankov bets again. He's up against a 10 way too often.
If I'm Pillai, I'd be completely like. Obviously, your hand
I'd throw a
looks
bet
pretty
out.
good here.
No, I gotta throw.
Yeah.
You think about checking, aren't you, Roddy?
Yes,
You're taking this
because
ICM way too far right now. We gotta value
10
bet.
million
Come on.
guaranteed, Nanonoko. 10 million guaranteed. Imagine your opponent like jams on you here. Like, how disgusting would that be? Like, he does make the correct play as he goes for the value bet. I don't think anything weird is going to happen here. Unless Yankov has completely lost his mind and does jam all in. Like, I think you make a solid point, Nano, especially because it's a limp pot. Like, a pair of aces is very powerful in this spot. But, yeah, I don't mind playing it a little safer when we just kick off this final table. Massive pay jumps, ICM, everything. I wouldn't fault the guys for keeping the pots a bit smaller if they can.
Yeah, no, look, I'm not faulting people if they play passive, but that doesn't mean that's the right play. It's just more of the conservative style. Like oftentimes people are scared of, oh, what do I do if I get jammed on? So they miss a lot of value bets, but we've seen guys go for value bets and they get paid off in some of these spots. So, it's a different way of playing. But if we miss out on too many spots, we might not win the tournament. We might get third or fourth
Of
instead,
course.
which is still good. But we got to think about these things. Ooh, nice 2 pair.
2 pair, but a monotone board. All diamonds. Alex Kolonias does make a pair too, but I don't see any reason to bet the pair of sevens here. But we do know that Alex Kolonias likes to be a little aggressive. Oh my goodness. Now he makes 2 pair too, but that's, I don't want to say the ugliest 2 pair I've ever seen, but it's up there, Nananoka. You don't feel ultra good about this 2 pair.
Yeah, it's a little something, but I guess there weren't that many great turn cards. Surprisingly, 2 pair versus 2 pair, and no bets are gonna go in, unless Pillai really thinks he can get a value in with. No, I don't think he can do it. Wow, he is going to do it. He's going to get paid off. I feel like he has to get paid off.
Yeah, it almost feels like he's trying to steal the pot, right? Like he doesn't have a diamond, but he's just pretending to have one. And now Alex Kolonias is like, well, do you have a diamond or not? I don't think you do. And he's like, no, I don't, but my 2 pair beats your 2 pair. This is an emoji moment. Come on, guys. That's what I wanted to talk about. Nanonoko, I am very, very, very upset with the lovely people over at GGPoker. Because
Why?
one of my favorite emotes, I like to play Russian cash, right? Every now and then, either Oma or No Limit. And, every time, sometimes you get like $20 in the center or $40 and the table kind of turns gold. And then you can always use, wow, like the 2 thumbs up. And it's kind of funny because then everyone's like, wow, wow. And it's the best part about it is that everybody loses their mind when there's $20 in the center. It's like, we forget everything we know about poker and all we see is a $20 bonus in the center and everybody just jams pots with like random ass hands. But now they've changed wow into good play. And I don't like it. Because when you see a brand new table, you see a little jackpot in the center, you can't say good play. Wow was the perfect emote, and I don't know why they changed it.
So it's the same emoji, they changed the words. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Ah, I see.
And
Cool, cool. It's still there, Roddy. You know, it's not
it's not
that
the
much
same.
different.
It's not the same, Nanonoko. And there's another one too, because there was like a well played, and well played became good luck, I guess, with the thumbs up. But I actually kind of like well played more too, because they always used it in a very passive aggressive manner. You know, if somebody like massively overbets the river, but they had nothing and they get called, they're like, well played. But now it's good luck, and that doesn't make any sense.
Right, yeah. Well, maybe they'll hear you and change it up a bit. I thought the when you started that story though, you said you play Russian cash. And I was like,
Yeah,
what is Russian cash games? Is it
that's what
like some
everybody
you're
says.
drinking
Yeah.
vodka or something, or I don't
That'd be fun. I'd sign up for that now. Rush and cash. Yeah. So quite a hand unfolding in front of us, Nanonoko.
Actually, was the perfect timing for you to tell us the story because nothing happened in this hand. It was the most boring hand possible. But now it got a little interesting. There's a little min bet with the 9 high. Queen high is the best hand. But it's a tough call to make because you're so short. Let's see if he can make it. If he calls here, you better scream it.
Gerard! Queen high? No, I don't. I mean, God bless the Queen. Gerard, Liverpool, England, Queen high. The Queen never leaves the house. It's possible, Nano. No, I don't. This be a
It's
wild
tough.
call.
Very,
It'd be a
very
gangster
tough.
play. And not as gangster as who was it with King Jack the other week? Rector, right? Was it Rector?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
The
Should have won that
900K.
tournament. Who ended up winning? I forget who it was.
Filatov, no? Anthony Filatov, the Russian.
It was not Phil. Philitop wasn't even at the final table.
A very similar name. All right, I'll look it up for you, Nanonoko.
Queen high
He
makes the call.
calls! Gerard! That's actually a gangster play. It was the most boring hand up to this point, but he's like, you know what? This hand doesn't make any sense, and I don't believe it for a second. That's sick. Well done. All right, we've got a big hand that Nanonoko talked to us. I'll look up who won last week, but I'm pretty sure it was very close to Filatov.
All right. Well, there's the open phase. King Ace Jack with Yankov. Some players like to 3-bet this hand. I think it's a 3-bet or a fold spot with Ace Jack. It's got good blockers, but it seems too weak in order to call. He agrees. Now it's over to
Arseny
Viking.
Malinov. It was Malinov,
Okay.
sorry.
Oh, Malinov. Oh, he's been doing great. I think he did well in a 25K recently too.
Yep.
I think did he ship it or did he win? I can't remember, but he did really well.
Yeah, well, he was solid. He played well, but it should have been Rector, but Rector got a bit carried away, making 900K calls on the river with King Jack offsuit. Anyways, Ace King battling it out with Ace Jack. And Thomas Mueller is off to a great start tonight, Nanonoko.
Yeah, he's really, really solid player, and as you can see, he's doing exactly that. You can see normally Ben Ward would take position on the German guy, right? With the second place, but it's kind of like the best of both worlds. Now you get position on a strong player, and you still get position on the German that was in second. So I like Ben Ward's seat selection at the very end. He decided to take the advantage on the guy who's probably potentially the best player at the final table for MTTs.
Alex Kolonias is going to open things up with King 10 offsuit. Not the hottest start yet for Alex Kolonias as he lost a couple hands.
Oh.
And look at Gerard. This man has absolutely no fear. Nanonoko, 3-betting with Ace 7 offsuit.
Look, oftentimes I say the real name players are, obviously the big pros, right? But these guys, they're sick crushers. Wow. This A7 play is a very bold play, but I like it a lot. It's a raggedy ace, but you block the ace, like the chip leaders are gonna open a lot. It's a strong play, and these guys, they all know what they're doing. Like there's no weak spots. This is we saw like 3 or 4 guys satellite in today, but they all really know what they're doing.
I believe the odds for Gerard to win tonight were 16 to 1. Well, If I would have known that he was such a gangster, calling off with queen high and being right, and then also three-betting ace-7 offsuit on the button against the chip leader, as Weizen is in a bit of trouble here. I hope he doesn't think that Thomas Mueller is making a play on him, because we know that's not the case. More chips heading into the way of the Austrian, but Girard is looking really good so far.
Yeah, he's been real solid. So far, I've seen a lot of impressive plays. Yankov been doing pretty good too. I haven't seen anything from our second place guy in Whiten, right? Like he's just kind of been chilling. But
Mm-hmm.
I did say, right, like, oh, he normally plays the $50, $80 and like some $500 tournaments. So I said it would not surprise me if he plays a little bit tight right now, and that's kind of what he's doing.
Did we actually cover that final hand of Girard where he had queen 3? And I feel like we barely spoke about that. Did we
Yeah,
just
but
watch
you
that?
finished your story at the right time. It was like perfect. Like, oh, now there's a bet out there, and then he makes the call of that queen
No, a
high.
different queen 3. One of the hands that we had in our
Another
pre-show.
queen three. I mean,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
guy. So that's why he called.
Maybe it's his favorite hand. Because he actually called there as well with a pair of threes on an a6-3-4 board, and he was right against Thomas Mueller. So yeah, maybe that.
Maybe he was watching the pre-show with us, saw he made that good call, queen three, and then when he saw the queen three again, something was like, I've got to call. It's also a blind versus blind spot. I'm also in the big blind, and he's probably gonna. If Gerard gets to the final table, He's gonna win with queen three. That's what I'm calling it.
You mean heads up because he's already
Yeah,
at the final table?
yeah. Heads up.
Well, Javier Gomez has a pretty sweet hand here as the open-ended straight draw and, of course, a center pair. And on top of that, I think this board screams big blind, and it definitely screams a lot less. One of the shorter stacks opening things up. So solid bet there by Javier. Takes it down. Very important for him. Thomas Mueller with pocket tens and 10 million chippies to start the hand. I don't think he's going to find a lot of value here, but let's see if Krasimya Yonkov wants to be stubborn and defend this big blind. Well, he does want to defend it, Nanonoko, but it's not the best flop for 9-7 offsuit.
Not the best flop for 2 10s either, but he's still probably going to win it. A little fire a little bet. See, this is the thing. No, I don't know what I was going to say. Nice bet. I was going to say something, but it was actually pointless. Never mind.
Oh, I'm very interested to hear about your pointless things, Nano. All right, let's talk about this hand then. Ace King offsuit for Weizen. This is obviously a hand he's going to open things up with. I kind of wonder what Krasimya Yonkov does with Ace Jack offsuit in the small blind. I always find it a bit awkward to have Ace Jack in positions like this.
Yeah, so in this spot, normally I think it's a 3-bet or fold spot. Let's say he will make the call. I mean, it makes sense that he doesn't want to blow pots. It's just because we're foreign.
Ooh,
Oh,
fireworks, as obviously because of the call, the pocket fives, they had to call too. And Sack 1, Shankar Pillai flops a set against top pair on a pretty quote-unquote dry board, right, for the ace-jack. And then you still have ace-king that's probably going to keep betting. Nanonoko, this is the biggest spot of the night.
Yeah, he's gonna call here if the ace jack.
You
Probably
have
should
to.
see a check raise. I'm wondering if Yankov will just put his opponent on like a set or nothing. This is gonna be a tough spot, man. It's 30 big blinds effective. The only reason I can see ace jack getting away, he's like too much on the line. I'm just gonna be like I'm over. Wow, he just
Oh,
calls.
what a
That's
brick.
a real big slow play.
Yep. I mean, the big blind can have anything here, right? Could also be hands like 8-9 of diamonds, stuff like that, where it's like, okay, they flop a pretty big draw, but they don't really have anything yet, so they don't want to get out of line. This set is, I mean, almost every set is invisible, but this one is very invisible.
Yeah, very slow play. It was Whitesands got ace king. He's got nothing. Is he really gonna fire again?
Imagine an ace on the river, the blood there will be.
Oh
That
my
is such
god.
a big bet. Oh my goodness. What is that? 60% pot almost? 70? What the hell?
It's a big bet. Okay, I was like, maybe this guy he heard me. He's like, maybe he tries to ladder up a little bit today, right? Now he's blasting off of ace king into two guys. Um
Man, okay, this is such a good spot for Pillai to jam, right? Like if Yankov calls here,
He
which
has
is
to
a
jam, of
very hard
course.
call to make, I actually don't know if I would want to call here with ace jack. Like it's so scary. You just feel like you're up against queens or kings quite often when they bet this big. What a spot.
Should have three better folded pre-flop. Would have made it a lot easier, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Now if the ace, he's got to call the ace jack, right? If he doesn't call this, why is he
Yeah.
playing ace jack in the first place? That's what I'm thinking. Cause look at
You're
this
right,
board.
Nanonoko. I've had this conversation with myself so many times where it's like, if I'm thinking of folding here, why the hell did I play it in the first place? But how do you fold ace jack on this board?
You can't. The only reason he might fold,
Oh,
yeah,
slam dunk all in for pocket fives. Come on. You take some time. You take a look at your ceiling right now and then you stroke your hair and you're like, all right, when the time bank is halfway through, we are going to absolutely fully send it and he will
yeah.
probably just take it down.
I don't know. I think there's a chance Yankov might pay off because it's only
No.
4 million chips more. Think about this though. Why didn't Shankar Pillai raise the flop? We gotta think Yankov thinks his opponent would raise a flop with 2 pair or better, right? The deuce on the turn is the blankest card in the deck. Nothing has changed since the flop. There's a chance Yankov. See, actually, the tank is probably better for him because Yankov's thinking like, man, maybe this guy's got like an ace jack himself or king jack, and is like not sure what to do. Thinks it's too much in there. This is going to be a tough spot, Roddy. I would not say this is an easy fold of ace jack. There's a chance he even calls.
Even if he does call, he does know he's behind though, but he's probably hoping that maybe he goes up against a 7-5, like something like that, like a random 2-pair from the big blind. That's possible.
I mean, he'd be behind against that, but yeah, no, even seven. Most people, okay, will check raise that flop when there's a bet and a call with that stack size in the big
Yeah.
blind on the Jack 7-5. It makes a lot of sense. Somehow, calling was the right play because he got Ace King to blast again. This is a great use of time bank. Shankar Pillai has actually made the most chips by check calling that flop so far.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But
We have not
now,
seen
like
this tank.
now we
This
can
is
go
a
all in. Is he
this is a
worried?
type of bluff. This is a bluff tank, right? Like this is the troll of all trolls. He's trying to bait his opponents.
What if he folds, Nanonoko? What will you do?
He like, can you imagine his client just crashes or like his internet just disconnects and he's just gone. He'd be the worst.
I feel like he's tanking so long right now that he's actually wondering. I mean, I don't think he's ever folding, don't get me wrong, but
Nah, it's not.
this is too much stalling though, right? Come on.
But the strange thing is, it's the right play against the hand he's up against because
Yeah.
Ace Jack is more. He's got to think he's got to call it off, right? Like you see this guy taking a long time. It seems like a tough decision. A lot of guys would have jammed a set already. We know that. This is.
He calls.
Again. I don't know why he did that. I really
don't like that,
know why.
actually.
That's
I
really.
don't like that very much.
I like it more if he had more stack to play for, but now at this point, you can force 2 diamonds. I don't know. That's a mistake, Roddy. Because too often someone has like 2 overs and 2 diamonds, kind of like ace, king, and diamonds.
No, I'm with you. And now it goes check, check, check. So Yankov never has the difficult decision that we were talking about before. Pillai still wins a monster pot. And Nanonoko, you know I like saying this, but we've got a nil chip leader at this final table after that hand. But yeah, I can't help but to feel he should have had either a few more chips or they should have had to wait 25 minutes to figure out that that man had pocket fives. A bit weird that he called there on the turn.
I'm a loss of words. I thought he was just trying to trick his opponents into making a big call. I think there was a decent chance Yankov put some more chips in the ace jack because of how much little more it was. But you got to let your opponent have the chance to do it. You don't let them get a free roll and not have to put that decision, right? Like, what was that, Roddy?
I don't know. I am as confused as you are. I thought that at first, obviously, you don't want to like snap all in into 3 people because you look ultra strong or 2 other people. So I understand that you want to take your 20 seconds and then you jam it in. But yeah, the call, because there were a couple of cards on the river that would have made his life very hard. Like imagine if a ace or a king of diamonds rolls off, right? And one of these other guys may think that they have the best hand. They might send it, even though they didn't have a flush. Was he gonna fold pocket fives then? Like he probably really thought at least one of them had a flush draw.
Yeah, but if you think you've got the flush draw, you got the best hand. You got to charge it. That's the thing, Roddy. I don't know, but guess we'll just move on. I think it's a reasonable mistake, but I guess since the stack sizes were so small at the end, maybe it's not as big. But it's definitely a mistake, Roddy. But
Yeah.
that's the thing. Big ICM page ups, they change you. They make you a different man. But at least he's the chip leader now, and I think he might change things up a little bit. I hope.
Well, he's no stranger to these final tables. Shankar Pillai has made it to 5 final tables before of the High Roller Super Million, or 4. This is his 5th. As Thomas Mueller is for the first time tonight opening things up with not the best hand, King Queen opening, but Ace Queen in the hands of Ben Ward. Would like to see him 3-bet this, right?
I think three bets is the right play. Some people will just call two. I think both are pretty good actually. But I personally like the three bet style. You kick out the people behind you. You probably won't stack off of it pre-flop. It's hard for your opponent to make a play. Yeah, no, I like three betting.
Thomas Mueller will let it go, so Ben Ward finally picks up a couple of chippies. He's obviously still sitting pretty at 17 million. Quite the hand, as now Pillai actually picks up ace queen suited. Well, we have an ace 9 suited and another ace 9 suited, and then even Weizen in the big blind with jack 10 offsuit. Could be a fun one. Could also just be open 3. Well, he just calls, so he just flats the ace queen suited.
Well, I'm not surprised once I saw him smooth call those 2 5s now in the river, because I don't know actually. Strange, because he's going for thin value bets and stuff like that. Then he's playing the set really tight in the funniest way. But it's going to get Kolonias to bump it up. I want to know what Saquon does here if the ace queen suited. I would like to see him make a call, but I don't know. Sometimes I just don't know anymore, right?
It's actually a bit scary, but I think you call and then just play it post flop. Hope that you flop top pair with a queen. Hope you see a couple of clubs. And ace
It's
is obviously
suited.
fine too.
If it's off-suited, maybe we find a tight nitty fold somewhere, right? But like suited, you better not fold this. You're the chip leader too. All right, there we go. There's the call.
It's not a very good flop for him though. Obviously he does have 2 overs and the backdoor clubs are still live, but I think if Alex Kolonias can find it in him to send a proper bet into the center here, he probably takes it down immediately because he probably doesn't put Shankar or Pillai on ace queen suited, and he does bet 1.5 million, 5 big blinds into this spot of 20 big blinds.
Yeah, he would do this with the same sizing with the kings.
Wow,
He gets the best hand
big.
to fold.
That's
nice.
big, Nano. But yeah, this all comes back to pre-flop, right? If we are raising, if we're 3-betting ace queen suited there, that ace 9 of Alex Kolonias could very well go into the muck, an open and a 3-bet. All of a sudden, do we love our ace 9? Probably not, right?
100% in the muck. Here's the thing, Roddy. Passive play, sometimes it's fine. You save yourself in some spots, right? But look at what the situation would be had he 3-bet. He 3-bets the hand. He doesn't lose that pot. He's got 21, 22 million. Colonius has less chips. He's in a dominating position against guys who probably would just have to keep folding. But now he's given up the chip lead. He's still in a good spot, but like passive plays can really change the way the results of the final table for you.
And Krasimya Yonkov was the one who opened things up with ace 9 of diamonds, correct? So
correct.
He would have flopped the flush draw if he was still there.
Yeah, but I don't think he was seeing any flops. Yankov's thinking he's still blown away. He didn't have to put a tough decision there, and he lost 5 million chips not too long ago.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's always very important to keep in mind that these guys came in with X amount of chips. Like you're not married to the number you came to the final table with, and you hope that it goes up. But you have a day and a half. You've got this in your mind, right? Like I'm entering this final table with 14 million chips. 14 million. That's the number that you're looking at. And now all of a sudden you're like, man, we are 33 minutes in, and I've got 9 million. I need to slow down. I think that's only human.
Yeah, maybe that's why some people play with the big blinds instead, right? They know, like, okay, it's just the best play based on my chip stack every time. They don't see the progression. Personally, it makes me fishier probably to see how many chips I've got, but I just cannot help it. I love to see that big number in front of me, like 18 million. I'm doing well today.
You know what I do like? I have the like ever since you made that poll, I've started thinking about this, right? Like the chips against the big blind, and I used to always just play chips, and then basically for a year straight, I just display my stack in big blinds. But what I do like to do right now is where sometimes in the beginning, if you have a good start, it's easy to get carried away. If you're like, I've got 284 big blinds, you know, like what does it really mean? And then I like to go back to chips where if you, wow, what the hell? He just jams Jack 4.
He's Ben Ward, right? He can do it.
Yeah.
He's the chip leader. But no, it's aggressive.
It is aggressive against the shorter stack, but he knows that Javier Gomez probably likes to make a pay jump or two. Well done by Ben Ward. But what I like to do in the, like basically 45 minutes in, if you have a good start to a tournament, if you know that the starting stack was 10K, you're like 264 big blinds. What does it mean? Just take a look at the actual chip number you have, and you're like, okay, I've got 35K chips right now. So I'm basically up 3.5 buy-ins or 3.5 times starting stack. I think that's useful information to keep in mind and not get married to an outrageous big blind number that you will obviously never keep.
Yeah. Um, I would say I like to have the chip stack when I'm really short because I can't do the math, but it's actually quite important to know whether you've got 8 big blinds or 11 big blinds on your jamming ranges. So that's one of the things I think about. But I feel like Yankov is the one who's getting involved, but always comes up second best. But he's got the flush draw against the overpair right now, and they could potentially get it in if he check raises that flop. Hopefully he doesn't check raise. But if he gets
We
it,
know
he's
that
still flipping.
we know Gerard is not afraid though. Like if he gets jammed on here, I actually think he will just call. He's like, if my tens are beat, they're deep beat. This is a
It's
tough
a
spot for Yarkov.
The bigger bet on the flop makes your opponent a little bit more likely to check raise. I think the stack to pot ratio is smaller. The flush draws is more likely to raise. I think against a smaller bet, he might just check call. And I can see it going both ways, but the bigger bet definitely entices you a little bit. Like, oh, just pray my hands and just go with it. He's not
Yeah.
folding. He's not folding, obviously. It's
No, I
just
guess we should never fold, but it's tough spots, man. I really wouldn't know what to do here. Do you think it's an all-in or a fold, or do you like no calling is still
no.
fine
It's,
too?
calling is definitely a fine play. There's nothing wrong with it. You got to think about the bet size your opponent uses and how much fold equity you have. And he's going to go
Okay.
for the check raise. And the funny thing is, he should get jammed on.
Yep, I think
Now
he
he's
will.
in a dumb spot with the jack four of hearts because he's actually coin flipping. A fold would be disastrous.
I think he just made life even harder on himself than it already was on the flop. I think it was difficult. I think now it becomes even more difficult if Gerard does jam. And I have the feeling that Gerard's the kind of player that is willing to absolutely send it here with his pocket tens.
Yeah, he's not folding. He's just wondering, is there value in just calling and just seeing what happens on the turn? I don't think so. I think you should
No,
jam. You need to shut out your opponents, their free draws.
I think there are so many scary cards on the turn, Nano. If you call, oh, he folds. He folds the pocket tens.
I'm sorry, Roddy. I gotta say it. What the fuck was that?
I
This
don't
final
know.
table is stupid right now, Roddy. What the hell was that? Against the big
ICM,
blind?
Nanonoko. ICM, massive pay jumps.
Yeah,
We mentioned it before.
UCM. I see bad play, Roddy. What the hell was that? I'm sorry, Roddy. I can't get
I'm not
behind that
defending
one.
it. No, I'm not defending it. I obviously don't think that we should fold tens there because why are we raising tens in the first place if we're going to fold it on three undercards on a flop like that? He even had the 10 of hearts too, I think, right? I'm not making that up. He had the 10 of hearts.
It doesn't matter if you've got the 10 hearts. But
It
yes, he
matters a
did. He
little.
did. It matters
Yeah.
a little bit, but not when you've got an pair with
No,
23
I agree.
big blind stacks and you 3-bet ace-7 offsuit earlier and you call with queen high, but with a good hand, it's just too good for you to play. Roddy, this final table is getting me real salty right now. I don't know what to say. It's
All right.
crazy.
I've got a question for you. Is it better or worse than my hand histories?
This is worse. I think. Because
No,
the difference
it's not.
is,
You got really angry at me, Nano. I sent you one hand and you were pissed for hours.
well, Roddy, I understand you're an amateur, right? You're an amateur player. You're a fan of the game, but these guys are big, big crusher. I don't know, man. Okay, let's see this. This is interesting. Ace
I like,
Queen's opting to
yeah.
three bet it. I like it. What about two
Mhm.
nines here?
That is a question that I think you should answer, because I always find it very difficult to play hands like this. Because if you call, it's so likely there's at least one overcard, if not two overcards, and it is a massive call. But he does make the call, and look at that flop, 3-3 deuce. Well, Nanonoko, this is a feisty one.
Yeah, it's a tough call to make with the two nines because of the ICM stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
Mueller, he's different. He understands like, okay, maybe he's putting some pressure on me. Obviously, he's not gonna fold this flop. He's gonna
No,
call.
it's impossible.
It's funny because Shankar Pillai, he's got a lot of chips, but it seems like his timing's been all over the place wrong. Um, yeah, it's interesting. It's not over yet. There's still two cards to go.
Mm-hmm. An ace or a queen, and this is obviously a completely different hand, but I have a hard time. Do you think that Thomas Mueller is thinking of putting in a raise and just going for it?
Yeah, but I don't think that'd be the right play unless he's just raising and is planning to fold. It's an interesting play, but I don't think it's a common one. I think at this point, Shankar Pillai knows his opponent has a pair.
Yeah.
Does he think he would fold it? Is the real question, Roddy. And it's a strong opponent too. It's not one of those guys that satellited in where you're like, okay, he's probably going to fold two eights and two nines by the river card. This is the
This
tough
is a sick
opponent to
hand.
fire.
This is a sick hand. Actually, it's making me a little bit tense just watching it unfold. Because I feel at this point, I feel like, yeah,
Oh.
I don't know if I feel like if we wanted to bet, we should have jammed. Just be like, this is it. Like my pair versus your pair. I think I have a better pair.
It's still a strong play.
Yeah.
Um, his opponent, I think he knows his opponent does have a lot of nines, eights, and sevens a lot. Some ace highs sometimes. And I think he thinks they would fold because if he doesn't think the nines would fold, why is he betting a quarter pot? He doesn't need to
Mm-hmm.
bet too big in order to get the same effect. So it's a very interesting play. It's
Pretty
a
sick
very
spot.
tough call. It's very tough.
Yep.
I know it's one of the best boards for two nines.
No, I'm totally with you. This like because this screams overpair though. Like
Screams
massive
over
three
pair.
bet pre-flop, bet on the flop, bet on the turn. Like at this point, you feel like you're being taken to value town by kings or aces, where it's like, all right, he's betting 1 point something, now he's betting 2.2, and then river
Yep.
he jams on me. But Thomas
Oh
Mueller
my
finds
god.
the jam. What a hand, Nanonoko. What a play. What a hand. Absolutely perfect.
Amazing. Like seriously, this is the I know like
Wow.
you see the whole cards, like it looks easy, but that is an
So
amazing play.
sick.
Yeah. He's got 18 million. See how he's not scared. Moonlocker goes with his reads. It's the right play. If he busts, he busts. But now he's like near the top of the chip counts, in great
Mm-hmm.
position. That's just beautiful.
Yeah, sick play, man. Very, very sick play. And Shankar Pillai is like, damn it, can't catch a break. I flat with ace queen suited and I lose, and I three bet with ace queen offsuit and I lose. He still has 11 million chips, and I think it's important to keep in mind that he came into this final table with 9 million. So in a way, you should probably feel good about this, right? Like, you know, you're playing poker for 40 minutes. You've made 2 million chips. I know he's not Nanonoko. I know he's steaming right now, but yeah, you gotta look at the bright side of life sometimes.
I mean, like he went from chip leader to non-chip lead real fast. He's had the most funny spots throughout the final table so far. Gerard throws away the king 10. He throws away the best hand on the flop. Oh my gosh. Okay, non-flop, but pre-flop that would have been on the flop. Mealocker's been betting every flop, so I expect to see him fire this one.
Probably quite small though, right? Like
Yeah.
580s. Oh, he
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
even checks it back.
He heard me. He heard me, Roddy.
He's balancing his range in Nanonoko.
Exactly. Well, at this point, Kolonias has no choice but to bet because once his opponent checks back that flop, they've got ace high way too often. Don't let him get a free card.
Wow, Thomas Mueller got off real cheap there, and Alex Kolonias actually kind of had a monster, right? Flopping top pair is always nice, but then top pair and the flush draw on the turn
Oh.
doesn't get much better than that. Eights against aces. Well, this is what you love to see when you have aces in the big blind and you're like, under the gun open. Yes, like someone wants to raise. Do I hear a 3-bet from the man on the other side of the table? You know, you start playing a live auction in your head.
Yeah.
Come on, Alex Kolonias. I know you want a 3-bet. You're like, damn it. Okay. We got off to a good start, but we didn't get all the action that we wish for. What do we do here, Nano? Do we 3-bet? Tiny? 2.1,
I mean,
2.2?
you got to, but unfortunately, this looks like aces. It is aces, Roddy. But you got to. It just jams. Oh, interesting. I don't know why he just jammed though.
Like it maybe makes it look like he's got 5s or 6s or something. I don't know.
No, I don't know.
Man,
the telling you, this final table changes you as a player. You're a sick guy usually, but today you're a new player. You find new plays you've never seen before.
Was that the worst way to play the aces, Nano? Like,
I mean, technically, there's one more option that's worse. It's called fold.
folding.
But, you know.
Wait, if he folds aces there, I will give you permission to run away, and then I'll just start singing songs for the rest of the night. Don't worry.
Yeah, didn't love it, to be honest. He wasn't going to get action anyways, but you got to give your opponent the opportunity to. What if Mueller has ace king? Okay, and I'm not saying he's going to fold ace queen to a jam there, but it's just like, you know what?
He probably calls ace king though.
But just saying, there's guys out there that sees the two big stacks at it, and they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna fold, and he folds a big winner, right? Aces, and I'm not saying ace king would ever fold, but there are guys out there that might do it if this is the biggest tournament they've ever played. They satellite in with a $20 tournament. They won 20 steps. Who knows? It's possible.
Alex Kolonias is gonna fire at this flop. That's a pretty big bet. He's betting like 4 big blinds. 1.3 million into a 2 million chip pot. Ben Ward makes the call with ace-4. Alex Kolonias still has position. And that's going to be real nice when these two hands go up against each other.
I agree. I think Kolonias should check the turn a lot, though, because that board connects the big blind in a way. Say his opponent has 2 pairs or a straight. You don't want to get blown off a clean out, right? With the 9, you could hit a 7. As played, it seems fine for Ben Ward to check, and I think the ace-9 should just side check. Yeah.
I'm totally okay with that check back on the river. I mean, Alex Kolonias still got quite a few chips there because he bet so big on the flop. He bet 1.3 million. Probably worried about a lot of these middling hands that were at the center of the board. Not necessarily expecting that Ben Ward had an ace-2 in the big blind, but worked out perfectly for him. Do we ever call here when we have 11 big blinds and we are Javier Gomez? Yeah?
Yeah. You got to call this hand. With this stack to pot ratio of 12 big blinds, it's very easy to play, actually. Surprisingly, one of the harder flops to play. But I know it's such a contradiction. But you know, if you flop top pair, you just check raise all in or something. Or straight draws, flush draws, you just check raise all in. But you got to call because you got no stack. You're the shortest. You got to make some moves. Here, I probably would just check call, though.
Yeah, I think you have to call. I mean, you still have the backdoor clubs. We know they're not good, but he will probably think they're good from backdoor straights, and he flopped second pair. Now, that's very difficult on this turn, because if you now check and your opponent just bombs it, then it becomes gnarly, Nanonoko.
Look, when you got the 9-8 of clubs, you don't get only easy situations. Not 2 aces or 2 deuces where you always know what to do, right? Like with 8-9 suited, it's like you're going to flop mid pair. You're going to flop gut shots. I think Shankar Pillai should bet again, though. The reason is I expect a queen to check raise the flop with that stack size a lot. So oftentimes his opponent has a gut shot or he's got a middle pair, like a 8-9, a 5-6, ace-5, and it's tough. And that's a great call. Excellent.
That is a great call. No, I do wonder. what the river will bring us. We expect Javier, the shortest man at this table, to check one more time. And a spicy chicken sandwich. Sakwang. Shankar Pillai with just Jack 10. He knows it's not good, but how likely is it that his opponent will call pre-flop, call on the flop, call on the turn, and then fall to a river bet that is only half the size of the pot? I mean, yeah, you can't really bluff here, right?
I think he should fold. The reason he would jam is he thinks his opponent hero called the turn of an 8. But then an 8-9 of hearts is really likely. An 8-10 of hearts. If the backdoor hearts actually hits the big blind a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, Shankar Pillai, his timing is awful right now. It's just getting crushed.
Yeah, well done by Javier, though. Not an easy hand to play at all, but he made the correct decisions. Well, speaking of bad timing, what about ace queen under the gun with ace king in the hand of the dude next to you? Poor Shankar Pillai. He got up to 19 million or 20 million it even was for his split second. He is now back to the exact same amount of chips that he started the final table with tonight, but he's about to most likely lose a few more unless he can find a beautiful queen somewhere. I think you might have to fold this though, right? If you get 3-bet from under the gun +1.
He's gonna fold, I imagine. Not also because of what you just said, strong positions, but with his stack size, he's looking at the table out there.
Yep.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of chips of ace queen. Not just one hand. It's been 3 hands of ace queen just losing chips and chips.
I mean, it's the butterfly effect, right? He should have just 3-bet the first ace queen suited, and none of this would have ever happened, Nanonoko. Everything would have been different.
Exactly.
I think you gotta let it go. Like, it sucks to play ace queen like this. You open under the gun and you gotta fold, but that 3-bet is massive. If you call here, you're almost playing with your tournament life on the line.
I think he should be folding this hand. The positions are quite too strong. He's not even suited, so it's harder to play post flop out of position. ICM implications, 20 big blind stacks, 2 of them shorter than him. I think it's a standard fold, to be honest.
It's a crappy fold. It's a fold that you don't like to make, but I think you're right. It's very hard though. Like, it's easy for us to say, like, oh, this fold is queen. The man is steaming, Nanonoko. He was up to 19 million chips. He was loving life when he had that set of 5s. Could have maybe won a little more. He does make the correct fold here, so I'm kind of happy to see that. Because you don't really wish anyone to just crash and burn all the way from chip leader into going out first. Alex Kolonias is our nil chip leader now, by the way. Sorry, Nano, go ahead.
I'm wondering, I was just saying we haven't lost a player yet, but I'm also wondering, how is Kolonias the chip leader? Like, did he do something big?
He did win a hand with ace-9 against ace-4 just recently, and then he won another one before that, with where he bluffed Shankar Pillai with ace-9 against ace-queen.
Right, so he's won like a lot of medium, well, I wouldn't say medium, small to medium pots.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But I mean, he came in with 17 million, Nano, so.
True.
Yeah.
I feel like Ben Ward hasn't had any easy spots like the other guys. He's kind of been getting a bunch of like marginal situations as our chip leader who started the final table.
Not a difficult spot for ace-queen. Ace-queen is not an easy hand to play tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah. Definitely. Like the amateurs, they always say ace queen, man, it's a bad hand to play with, right? But it's strong, it's just tough. He got outdrawn though. How do he hit the jack?
I don't know. Yeah. I'm looking at these two hands too, and I'm like, he's betting on the flop. It's gonna be hard for him to win this hand. It's like, bam, jack from heaven. It's like, oh, all of a sudden his hand looks quite all right. 9 of hearts. You think that changes a whole lot? Probably not, right?
It does, because I feel like Ben Ward isn't going to win this pot unless he bets. I think Ben Ward needs to strongly consider firing. He's up against a random hand at pairs, or like a 7s that's just going to check fold. He's just got to bet, right?
I love how you said that you don't think it changes a whole lot, but now Ben Ward needs to bet if he wants to win his hand.
I meant to say it changes a lot. I'm sorry. Okay. I got it wrong, but I wanted to say he needs to bet.
Yeah, okay, but he already needed to bet because he was behind.
Yeah, no, I'm saying so. But if the river came like a low card, then I would be checking. But
All
on
right.
this board card, his opponent often has just a random pair that or ace. Yeah, this is a great fire from Ben Ward. It's actually very hard for Colonias to call here with the Queen Jack. He
Mm-hmm.
needs to think his opponent floated him
Wow.
on a flop like sevens and is turning to a bluff. A great play.
Yep. I mean, it kind of feels all of a sudden a bit possible that your opponent has a flush, right? Because, you know, he just called on the flop, but then he checked back the turn to you when you did make a pair. Well done. And obviously having the ace of hearts there is, I mean, pretty nice. You know that your opponent can never have the absolute nuts. Well done by Ben Ward. He said he didn't have any easy spots yet. That wasn't an easy one, but he does win a decent amount of chips.
Yeah, he's the cash game expert. He plays the high stakes cash games on GG, so he knows what he's doing. You need to know when to turn your hand into a bluff. A lot of like say people in the chat they're watching, right? They might be like, "Oh, ace queen, a free showdown," but you got to realize your free showdown sometimes is no longer ever good. So
Mm-hmm.
you need to turn your hand into the bluff here and there.
Well, maybe the nine of hearts was indeed the perfect river card for him to do so, and it worked. Well done. Alex Kolonias will survive. The two shorties could potentially battle it out here in what I believe will be our final hand before our first break. King Jack offsuit versus King 10 offsuit. Gerard from outside of the box. Man, oh, that's a
Oh,
bad flop for King 10. Ay, ay, ay.
it's also worse. This short stack on short stack action, right? Like it feels like, okay, let's just combine our stack. One of us going out first. This is a flop where someone could go out potentially or lose
Yeah.
half their stack.
I mean, if you're Gerard here, you can't ever fold. Like, that's impossible, right? How do you
I mean, I
fold?
thought about that on the 210s earlier, but
Well, yeah, that wasn't great, but this is a slam dunk at least call, if not raise. You gotta feel like you're good here. Like, otherwise, why are we calling with King 10 to flop a straight? Like, I mean, it'd be nice, but
yeah, I agree.
yeah.
I definitely agree here. Check call I think is good though.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one overcard to ace, so okay, he's
Oh,
gonna
he
check
raises.
raise. I The
Oh,
funny thing is, I feel like he will fold if he gets more resistance on the flop. I don't know, but I think Javier should just call here. There's no point in doing anything else. But
both
what do you
guys have
get?
4 million chips in the bank, and there is 4 million in the center, Nanonoko. And things are looking very bad for Gerard. I'll be honest, I hope for an ace on the river or a queen. Chop it up.
What? Come on, right? Let's not reward these guys. But anyways, the King 10 is honestly in a stupid spot now. Once he check
Yeah.
raises this flop, now he doesn't know if he's like drawing to the 10 or if he's got the best hand against like a two tens or queens type hand. Yeah.
Well, he
All
is
right.
going to bet 1 million chippies. At this point, it becomes a bit scary for Javier Gomez as well, right? Because the big blind, Nanonoko, could the big blind have a deuce?
He can. He could have ace deuce. Pretty much that's it. And nice. Okay, for Javier though, he was like the jack makes him feel a lot better in case he was up against a king queen, which is very
Mm.
possible, right? Gerard here, he needs to check. Uh there's no value in betting.
Can Javier Gomez find a value bet here? Like, I know he's got top two pair, but it's still a little bit scary. Your opponent could have a deuce. But I
Once I
guess,
hit the jack, I'm going for it. I would have checked
okay.
back if I had not improved, but it seems absurd for a deuce not to jam the river themselves.
Yeah,
Because
that
there's no
does make
flush draw on a
sense.
flop. It was a flush draw on a flop. I probably could find a check, just thinking he's trying to trap me into baiting me, right? But at this point, you just gotta fire. Let your opponent have the opportunity to make the mistake. We saw that earlier, right? Shankar Pillai had the 2-5. Let your opponent maybe make a mistake with the ace jack. Don't let the ICM get to you. I know it's a thing, but not this big of a thing,
I
is it,
understand
Roddy?
that I agree with everything you said. I do understand that Javier Gomez is taking his time here. I do believe he's gonna bet. No, he checks back.
All right, I gotta go, Roddy. I gotta go take my break.
I believe that's going to do it, guys, for our first hour. Yes, it is. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed our pre-show, and the first hour of this final table. 10 million guaranteed tonight. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't done that yet. And we'll be back in 4.5 minutes where Nanonoko is hopefully a little calmer and won't be too upset.
Well, he seems like a nice guy with a lot of money and high ego, so hopefully he accepts the challenge. And
I accepted this match because I love the challenge and I cannot wait to take this guy's money.
even worst player can win. That's the beauty of poker. You know, in chess you don't get that. You always know who's gonna win. That's why I'm 100% confident.
I'm pretty confident in my game and ability. I will obviously prepare, but
That's the game. So I'm totally confident in my abilities, and I work more than anyone in this industry. That's 100%, like no undeniable.
hopefully gonna pick up some tells, and yeah, that's gonna be the most fun part for me about this game.
I'm just built that way, that I just like competition, I like tough matches, and I just enjoy the game.
Playing on the highest level against the best in the world, it's always been a love of mine. I love the challenge, I love challenging myself, I love challenging others.
I get like almost same, if even not more thrills by playing the game. I love competing against strong opponents, making my adjustments, being focused, and then money is also there. It's very fun, you know. The poker game is like, it's amazing. It's like life.
I really like that process of that journey of becoming better and growing and just becoming an overall better player.
I just feel like cash game players are way more technical, way more professional.
In tournaments, I feel I got the better of him, so that's more.
He obviously wants a flip versus me, so.
It's a new format for me, so I haven't really been playing much heads up, but I love it. So I will try my best to get into it as good as I can and get as good as I can in a short period of time.
I mean, I shouldn't say it, but I hope he'll have enough fans that will bet on him. So I'll get better odds.
I'm not sure if I'll take many side bets. I'll see if there are some fun ones popping up, but I mean, for me, it's really more about the excitement of playing.
In terms of win rate, I think like 20 BB should be fine.
He's gonna be on Zoom, which I don't think he's often when he plays online. Like, this is the edge I'm looking for. So Victor, better watch out.
Smoke a cigar, or maybe do some stretching, and drink. I don't know how much he wants me to drink, but I guess that will be my preparation.
Better don't drink too much while playing. Better don't laugh whenever you have a bluff. And
Like, I don't even see him as my opponent. It's just like just a random guy I play sometimes, and it's okay. I probably have few tables on the side too, so it's fine.
I'm gonna get very lucky,
They were so fucking easy, man.
and I'm gonna spank that petulant child.
Welcome to the face-up challenge.
Elke was waiting to come back to the final table.
Radar holds things. Oh my God.
Michael Otamo is the best.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second hour of the High Roller Super Millions, week 39 already. We are here every Tuesday night covering a final table of one of these 10Ks. And this week it's a very special one because normally it's a 2 million guaranteed. This week it was a 10 million guaranteed. I guess to celebrate the end of the High Roller Week over at GG. Two-day event, so there were a lot of day ones where people could potentially make it into the second day. And here we are. Nanonoko, that was quite the first hour of poker. We didn't lose anyone, so we're still with 8 players. We started the final table with 8. We're still with 8. Couple of crazy hands, mate.
Roddy, I had the reason I'm late to the break was I saw we didn't bust anyone. We've seen a lot of tight folds. I had to get a coffee. I'm like, this is gonna be a long night, Roddy. I'm like, this is a different one. It's a different beast. But there were a lot of interesting plays actually. I want to say the best play I've seen so far, though, is from Mueller's 2-9s. I really like that one where he jammed a turn. It was a bold one. I know it's like, oh, it's an overpair on a turn, but like, we got to think about those icing implications. You've seen how nitty some of these guys have been, right? But he was still going to go for it.
Ooh. Pocket 9s for Alex Kolonias, pocket 10s for Thomas Mueller. One of the 10s is that, though, as Gerard has a short stack Nanonoko with... How many big blinds is that? That's 8 big blinds?
I think he's going to jam.
10? Yeah.
And I think
Will that
he
push
should.
the 10s out? Do we have a full 10s?
No, you're not supposed to. Let's see. Kolonias is the chip leader. Nah, he's not folding 10s because the chip leader is more likely to open. Mueller should, let's see, how many big blinds? Yeah, 40 big blinds. He should either rejam or min click it. I think calling is possibly not the right play because if he makes it if he calls 2 million, Kolonias might call with like a 10 jack suited for 1.4 million more. It's a little bit too small. So yeah, the min click is definitely the right play.
Well, let's see what Alex Kolonias decides to do with his 9s. He probably also thinks that Thomas Mueller doesn't give him credit for a hand as good as 9s, but Thomas has an even better hand. It's a tough spot for Alex Kolonias, I think.
But if I'm just saying, if Kolonias jams here, I think Mueller folds.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, then it's too big, right? Then all of a sudden it becomes too much for 10s. But do you really jam?
It's not. Like 50, yeah, you can't. Because what if Mueller has aces? You're just exactly. 3 off 5 million.
Then you'll be the new. Oh, that's the 9. Oh, that hurts. That hurts so much. That hurts so much. We need an ace and an ace only on the river. That's not an ace. And that means we will lose our first player. Gerard came in as a short stack. He made a very cool play early on where he called with queen high and he was right. But yeah, the fold with the 10s is definitely going to haunt him. Whew. Well, we avoided disaster there for Thomas Mueller, that's for sure.
Mueller is almost a chip leader. Again, we have 3 guys with the chip lead practically, but yeah, Gerard, like, I don't know, man. Like he was looking really cool, right? He was 3-betting a7 offsuit, he was calling queen high, and then 2 10s on the safest board possible. It was a 9-3-2 or a 9-6-3, one of something like that, and he folded a 9-6-3. I don't know, man. And the stack sizes were shallow. I can understand. Maybe you guys both have 100 big blinds, and you're like, you know what? I don't want to be put to test. Well, ace-5 suited going for it.
This man is like, I've got a pay jump, baby. Let's go. I'm going to start defending my big blinds because I don't want to be ultra short. Now we have pocket jacks for the man who seems like he cannot do much right anymore ever since he flopped a set of 5s. This one, though, should be fine.
Yeah.
You're right about everything you said about your
like,
Go ahead.
No, I'm just like, is today going to be my most brutal day of the Super Millions where I'm just talking smack about everyone, like making the tightest folds? I don't know, Roddy. Like, I've said some mean things to some other players in the past, right? I know who I'm talking about, but like, it's usually the 2 jacks. It's just a funny thing.
I was about to think that's the only hand that just jumped into my mind immediately. Not once, but twice, pocket jacks. At least these jacks were, Yeah.
Very tight so far, Roddy. Very. I
I want to
usually
play
see
by
this. Sorry, I've been interrupting you, but I want to say one more thing, Roddy. It's just I've done some other commentaries, like the APL and other series, and some of the plays I see today is what I would see there, like in terms of tightness.
Yeah, I mean, we did kind of predict it before the show started, right? With this being a 10 million guaranteed and the page jumps being this much bigger than they normally are. You know, it hasn't been, definitely hasn't been all bad. We saw a couple of great plays as we now have Suck 1 sitting on trip aces, but there is a flush draw for Ben Ward. This hand could get a little bit spicy.
Yeah, Ben Ward, he checked back the flop, and well, against this bet, he's getting a great price to see a river card.
I wonder what would have happened if that 6 was a 7, or obviously a 10, but the river is an absolute blank. The deuce of spades does not change anything. Yeah, I've been entertained. It's been a bit wild, and we've seen a couple of plays that maybe we don't approve of, but I definitely have been entertained. It's not boring, and the blinds
Yeah.
are getting big though. Like almost every pot does feel like it's a proper pot. You know, a little raise in a bet, and all of a sudden we're playing for 4 or 5 million chips.
I agree with you. In 4 hands, blinds are going up again, so that's a big one, right? Because this should be a very easy stack size for me. Well, actually, it's not that easy to calculate. 400,000 big blind. It's a tricky one. I need the straight 100K, 1 million. I think I'll be really good on that one.
I think 250, 500 is something that you can do too, Nana.
Yeah. The next one's gonna be tricky. I'm not gonna lie.
I think this one is harder. If it's 400K big blind, next one, is that confirmed? Where do you see that?
I just assume.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I
No,
often am wrong.
I think 200K, 400K would make a lot of sense at this blind level. That's not too hard, because then at least it's even. Now you've got the 3, 5, the 7, as we have aces under the gun for Thomas Mueller. Do you think Alex Kolonias is steaming a little bit?
No, it's kind of like but like
Yeah.
if you see what you're up against, you're like, okay, well, I was behind anyways. But say like he folds the best hand and then he would have scooped. That's when you're really steaming and salty. Yeah, I think it was fine though.
Yeah, now you can find consolation in I've made the correct play, right? I folded 9s, he had 10s. Pretty good at poker. Krasimya Yonkov all of a sudden has become very quiet, right? He was getting involved. He was getting into the streets early on, playing multiple pots. Almost forgot he was still with us.
The PLO guy, right? Like he's like the PLO guy that is not a PLO guy.
Well, maybe he actually is. Who knows? But I feel like not too many PLO guys would actually be playing 10K MTTs, no limit casually. Seems
Oh,
like a
come on. We see that all the time, right? Elis, Parson, and the other guys out there that just continuously play these no-limit tournaments.
But Elis Parsonen is not a PLO guy. He is a PLO master, Nanonoko. There's a big difference.
You got me. You got me.
Alex likes getting involved. He says, a couple of hands ago, we didn't really talk about it, but I think he was raising Queen 3 suited from middle position. I was like, all right, adventurous. Decent flop for Thomas Mueller as he flops the flush draw here.
Yeah, well, Kolonias, he's got the experience. He's also a cash game player. The two cash game guys is Ben Ward and Kolonias, so they're going to have a little bit different way they see the game, and usually they do get involved a bit more. Mueller, I imagine, is the most experienced MTT player of the lot. And, earlier he only had 20 big blinds, but now he's in prime position with amazing plays. I think he's playing one of the best so far at this final table. I'm actually really loving the play of Mueller, Kolonias, and Ben Ward. These three guys are standing out for me right now. Ooh, this guy always drills these random ass cards.
Well, it didn't help him when he drilled the jack on the turn because he did fold to that riverbed of Ben Ward. But this is one that is very good for now. Obviously, he does have the king of diamonds too. So that takes away one of the potential outs for Thomas Mueller.
But it's getting, I don't know, I'm getting salty with these RNG turn cards right now. Like these, I don't hit these magical turn cards. I know he was ahead on the flop, but still, like, it's like the easiest cards to play when they hit these ones.
Nananoka, you sound like one of my 1-2 friends right now, okay? Well, I think we can actually check this back, right? King 9 here. Like, it's sure, it's very good, but there's 8 million in the middle. Like, I feel like our hand is good,
Right.
but I wouldn't mind to see him check this back.
In a vacuum, he should be betting, but I can definitely get behind a check just because we're at final table ICM. But in general, he should be value betting. He's up against Ace Jack a lot, Queen Jack, Jack 10, these types of hands. His opponent, we got to think, would check raise the flop a lot with a set. His opponent might not even flat 3s and 4s pre-flop, to be honest. He probably would 3-bet jacks, so he doesn't lose to that many hands besides a King Jack suited. But the King Jack's, yeah. So I wouldn't mind him betting, but I can understand why he checked.
Yeah, I think there is a very valid argument to be made for both plays, but I'm kind of happy to see him just check it back. Make life easy, Nanonoko. It's already stressful enough playing these final tables over 10K. Do you really want to put yourself in these tricky positions where you go for a mint-in value bet and then your opponent gets out of line and puts in a massive raise? Like, it becomes pretty disgusting at that point. Hey, earlier, we saw Javier Gomez jam a pretty mediocre hand from the big blind because he seems to think that Thomas Mueller is opening up a lot of garbage. Now, what did he jam? Ace-5 suited. With King-9, apparently, we're just going to make the call.
Yeah, King-9's the standard call here. Mulocker's probably going to fire a 25% pot bet. Take it down. That's my guess. But Kolonias in a great position here. He's got 26 million. He's really solid, too. He can make plays, but he's actually really solid, so he gets a lot of credit when he makes his moves.
Oh, baby, it's time, Nanonoko. Don't you dare to... What? Nanonoko! What the hell?
Now triggered. We're both so triggered
angry.
right now.
You know, you've been angry in all these like proper plays and maybe could have been better. This is what sets me off. The man just folded damn pocket 4s, okay? They should know better, Nanonoko.
Roddy, do you think it happens once every final table that someone folds pocket 4s? I feel like it does. We talk about it every single stream.
Yes. I mean, sometimes I get it, right? But here, I mean, I guess he's one of the shortest stacks. But open folding pocket 4s, I don't know if I can get behind that.
It actually happens every single stream. You're triggered every single stream. It's just hilarious.
Well, so far it seems like it was the correct play because pocket 4s always make a set. Besides on the final table of the high roller super millions, then they never make a set. Ben Ward will keep betting as Krasimya Yonkov decided to defend his big blind. Flop bottom pair, but that's a pretty ugly bottom pair. No kicker, no backdoor draws, nothing.
The price is good, but it's a bad board in the sense that say your opponent's bluffing, he's got a little bit more equity than normal, right? Because like an ace 10 or like these kind of hands, lots of bad runouts. You're not sure what to do, so I wouldn't have fault him if he folded the flop. But even pre-flop to begin with, it's very adventurous. But PLO guys, I see things a little bit differently, you know. With the 9 here, unfortunately, I think I just got to check and expect to lose. I don't really think he should turn his hand to a bluff too often. It's just too often your opponent actually has the ace.
Yeah, like I know that if you defend your big blind and you flop a pair, you don't just want to give up. But this was one of the ugliest bottom pairs, or a pair of 9s. Like a pair of 9s sounds good, but on that board, with the deuce kicker and no backdoor draws whatsoever, I would have actually been okay if he folded bottom pair there, but maybe that's being result oriented.
Don't worry, Roddy. Me and you, we would have just been out of there pre-flop, right? We wouldn't have to worry about that flop.
Probably. Ooh, ace 8 against ace 3.
Yeah. I wonder if he was just going to ship it.
Yeah. I was wondering about that too. It's obviously a bit reckless, but I don't hate those plays. I actually kind of like it. When you are starting to get towards the bottom of the field, every big blind and the antes, they matter so much. I kind of like to see them just take it down.
I like doing it too, but I hate it. You know, when you jam there and then you get snap called by ace queen
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you're out, you feel so stupid because you didn't get to play
Sure.
any poker. You just played all in or fold for no reason. Ace eight
Uh,
suited here in a good position. I actually think he should limp jam. I wonder if he'll do it, but I think it's the right play when you limp ace eight suited. It's just too strong. It doesn't play that well post flop.
Oh,
Nice.
brilliant. And now ace-3 cannot do... Man, poor Shankar Pillai. His timing has indeed been atrocious. And it's not even that he's like making wrong plays, even though we would have liked to see him 3-bet the ace-queen suited. But besides that, it's just... He picks all the wrong spots at the moment. There's nothing you can do sometimes, I guess. But
Yeah, I agree. I think with that stack size too, maybe the ace three was actually a check. It's just like you kind of wasted your hand a little bit. I think with 15 big blinds, I just ship it in or something myself. But like he had eight, I don't know. It just seems like a waste, right? Now that you didn't get to see the flop. Flop is straight.
yep. Bottom end of the straight, though, no diamonds, but it's still a straight. Straight's pretty good.
It's pretty good for 3-4 suited, right? Like what else can you ask for? You want a straight flush?
The bottom two pair, you know, trip force. And that's pretty good. Alex Kolonias takes a pot down at the expense of Ben Ward. All right, Javier Gomez, pocket tens. Thomas Mueller folds pocket threes under the gun. The threes do always make a set at these final tables. The fours will let us down at the final table of the High Roller Super Millions, but the pocket threes, guys, pocket threes always deliver.
Shankar Pillai, ace nine suited. Man, it's a pretty looking hand. You feel a little obligated to make a move, but he's gonna let it go.
I can't fault him for it because he probably feels like he cannot do any right at this point. He's like, every play I make, you know. He's only lost 700k chips technically tonight.
Ooh.
Wow, we have some big hands here. Pocket nines, ace queen offsuit, ace
Ooh.
king offsuit.
Wow. I was going to talk about White's hand because I feel like he hasn't done anything. 2 6s. Okay, I don't blame Ben Ward for opening this, but actually it's going to be raised. I hope Yankov jams the 2 9s, right? It's 20. Then ace queen. Actually, I think we'll fold and ace king goes with it. It's funny. Okay, Kolonias is going to 3-bet. What? This is a spicy hand coming up, Rowdy, and a lot of potentially big folds coming.
But I think it's going to be... Whoa.
That's fine, ace queen calling there. No,
this is a slam dunk all in with ace king, of course.
2 9s. That's the real question. What's the play?
I think you fold, man. Like if you already flat nines, yeah.
Folds.
I mean, I don't know if it's the correct play or not, but it does make sense to me that he folds because.
How will this one?
I think you gotta. I don't know. It does look really strong what your opponent is doing, right? Into 3 people and under the gun open.
Look, from an odds point of view, this is a slam dunk call because there's so many extra overlay, 5 extra big blinds. But the reason I would consider folding, and he does, is White's hand has not played a hand since he blasted off of ace king. He's actually been very tight. So I'm surprised there was no blood.
Absolute best case scenario there is that you have the same hand, but he's got ace queen suited. I think that is like the bottom of Whiteson's range, right? I don't think it ever gets any worse than that.
And I think Kolonias is smart. Obviously, he's smart, but I want to say he's smart because he realizes what would happen if he calls and loses. He calls and loses there. He's down to what, 16 million? Wisen up to 20 million. He's out now. He doesn't have the chip lead anymore. He's out of position against a guy with more chips in him. It's like, you got to think about the pros and cons. And in that situation, it's terrible. Obviously, he wins, it's great. But like, he's potentially not even ahead. So I like the play.
What do you make of the flat with nines versus the under the gun open of Ben Ward?
It's interesting. I don't actually know what the right play is, right? The problem with 2 9s is when you just smooth call there is you invite the big blind to come along a lot. You fold the best hand post flop a lot because a 1 overcard comes a lot, and we know that. I personally like jamming a little bit more. I find that I can't make a mistake. It's never a wrong play. But I know some people do make the call there, and It's just not my style, Roddy. I don't know. What about you? Do you like calling or do you like jamming too?
I think I jam or even fold, and I know fold would be atrocious and people would hate that, but I
That's why
feel
you jam,
calling.
right?
Yes, no, yeah, no, but I think that's because like there are so many moments there where you do call and then you're still forced to fold, and that's the absolute worst case scenario, right? Because then you lose chips and you don't even get to realize the equity of your hand. So I think I would just all in or fold. And in all honesty, if I was in his spot and I would have his stack, and you're playing for these massive pay jumps, I actually think I would fold nines, but I'm kind of a pussy, so.
But well, hey, yeah. The one thing I would think about Roddy is when you so let's just say the nines was a close spot. We'll just assume it is. If there's a short stack, say 10 big blinds, 11, 12 big blinds or lower, I'm more likely to lean towards a fold because ICM would basically say this guy is more likely to get in sooner than later. But if I look around at the table, say I'm the shortest stacker, the shortest guy's got 20 big blinds, the truth is we might just be folding for a while and I might miss a big opportunity to maintain my stack or increase it. Then I'm more likely to jam the two nines.
No, Ko, I'll leave you to it. I have to check what Mr. Weizen just folded. Because unless
What? Don't. I didn't see, but don't tell me it was like something big, please.
I think he folded tens, unless I'm
It's impossible.
hallucinating. I was listening to your story.
You can't fold two tens.
Mate, he just folded pocket tens. Yeah.
Well, I'm reading
Shankar,
the chat right in front of me, and they said 10-10 fold.
Yeah,
and there's
yeah.
There's a lot of crying and laughing emojis in the YouTube chat right now.
No, I'm looking back at it. I'm playing it back. We had Shankar Pillai, Sasquan, spicy chicken sandwich, call him how you want it. He opened under the gun, king, queen offsuit, and Weizen just folded tens, just in the muck, nothing.
Cool. That's what I think. Look, he came into the final table in second place. I saw his profile, plays $55 tournaments, 300, 200. I expected there's a chance he's just going to try to fold his way to top spot, right? That's my prediction. And he didn't play a hand for a while. Then he decided to blast off of ace king for some odd reason. And then he hasn't played for a hand since. I don't know. It just seems like his game plan is all over the place, right? Because if you're planning on folding your way to the top, you don't make that play of ace king on the turn against the one where Shankar Pillai had the set. And then you start folding these big hands. You're better off saving those 3.5 million chips you blasted off of ace king on turn and using them to play the two tens here in this spot. You know what I mean?
I was wondering what Alex Kolonias was going to do here with queen 3. Because I feel like he's obviously picking up on the fact that Weizen is playing pretty tight. And I feel like we are almost entering the stage. If he has like 2 million less, I think Kolonias is just going to start jamming on him.
Yeah. Kolonias can definitely limp with any two cards, I think, at this point to Weizen. But I strongly would think, I don't know, his style might be different, but he should strongly consider raising any two cards into Weizen at this point.
Yeah.
Even like a 2-3 offsuit. I think it's reasonable. If he's going to be folding two tens, God knows what he's going to fold, big blind versus small blind.
Krasimya Yonkov decides to get it all in here with ace queen. Obviously a pretty standard play when you're the shortest stack at the table. He is currently playing 15 bigs. You can check the math on that Nananoka, but it's pretty good.
That's the one I can do, Rowdy. I can do that one too. That's the easy one.
Ooh, sixes and aces. That's
Yankov's got a little bit too much to just jam here if the 2 6s.
He open fold.
It's a big fold, but yeah.
I do feel it's fold or jam though. Like that's the same, right? Because like otherwise it just becomes really awkward. You don't want to call it off. So I think folding or jamming, and he decides to fold. Well, perfect timing on that one.
Yeah, I agree with you, Roddy. It's a big fold, right? Because usually we see the 3s, the 4s, the 5s, they go straight into the muck. The 6s is where we start to get a little bit dicey. Okay, who cares?
Who cares, Nananoko?
Who cares? Ace, king, queens. In the 2 biggest players at the final table. These are the strongest players here. And they are guaranteed to go to war. There's no chance it does not get it in pre-flop.
And the positioning as well, right? Button, small blind. Oh. Well,
this is my pick. My pick's on the line here for most of the stack. against the strongest player potentially. Wow.
I don't know what the rest of the table folded, but I don't believe any aces are dead. But we do know that Javier Gomez is folding a king here.
Yep.
Yeah. All in
So
and a call?
the classic, the ace, king, and the queens. You ready for this, Roddy? I'm ready.
I mean, it isn't like it is a big jam, but yeah, obviously it's ace king. Yep, there we go. Ace king gets it all in. Queens will obviously snap call, and this is an absolute monster pot. Thomas Mueller needs to hit an ace or a king. So far, he doesn't. Can the queens hold? It needs to be an ace or a queen now. Let's see what the river brings us. That's pain, but it cannot be a queen because it's a queen of spades. It's a jack of spades, and that means it's all over for Thomas Mueller. Wow. Nanonoko, 29 million chips heading into the way of Ben Ward. Classic setup.
That is a classic setup, but what a shame for Thomas Mueller, right? Because he cruised so well at this fountain, made every single right decision. That was a right decision there too, but he's out in 7th. It seems so wrong, doesn't it? Right? Like he had 15 million chips, he had 20 at 18 million. Wow, that's just brutal. It's brutal.
I mean, I don't want to be result oriented here, but because they both had such a big stack, is there any argument to ever just call with ace king there for like 2.5 million or whatever it was and see if you flop something good?
The problem if you do that is with ace king, you don't get to realize the equity of all 5 cards hypothetically, right? Like say it comes a raggedy flop and your opponent has like 2 tens, I don't know, whatever, right? You don't get to see the 5 cards when it's a classic coin flip. Also, you let your opponent who would 3-bet bluff that spot, small blind versus button, get a chance to win it. And Ben Ward's got 2 queens. My pick is on fire, right? Yes.
Ben Ward looking good. Alex Kolonias opening things up here under the gun with ace jack suited. Now, obviously, ace jack not necessarily the same, and also these positions a bit different than what we just had. So he just flats with the queens.
Okay. The reason is okay. I mean,
I think the reason is Alex Kolonias has 27 million chips. I think that's the reason.
That is exactly the reason. And it's fine because technically, if he gets in this many chips against 1 and 2, it's probably bad with 2 queens. Right? His opponent always has ace king plus.
Yeah.
So and plus, look at the other stacks at the table. The 20, 25 big blinds. Those are rejam stacks. So they will rejam into your 2 queens and just die.
And on top of that, Nanonoko, here is my amateur analogy. Queens just held up against ace king. How likely is it that they hold up twice? I knew that you couldn't keep a straight face if I would say that.
But you know, Roddy, it's funny. I always say this, right? Like, say you ship a tournament. Say you win this tournament. I wouldn't enter next week. How am I ever going to win it twice in a row?
Well, that's how you become a legend, though. This spot obviously surprisingly small, but yeah, that's because both of these guys have absolute monster stacks. I mean, how many big blinds are they playing? 4, 8.
Ben Ward is, I think he's
over 60, right? 70 even.
He's gonna get it. He's gonna knock out Yonkov, isn't he? I feel like Yonkov is gonna jam the ace-9 suited. It's 15 big blinds against the chip leader. I would actually think this is a slam dunk jam. Maybe I'm wrong, but okay, he folds. Nice fold, but he's got 15 big blinds, a lot of fold equity, shortest stack. I think it was reasonable for him to rejam. Shankar might.
I think it was reasonable too, but I think he's maybe after realizing what just happened with those 2 hands, and it's pretty obvious that like Ben Ward doesn't necessarily want to play big pots with Alex Kolonias. Maybe he's like, you know what? If he is raising into the big blind of Alex Kolonias, there's a good chance he actually has a strong hand.
Let's see, Ben Ward, it's flop top pair, top kicker, very drawy board, but I feel like he should be betting. Too many. You don't want to let those naked 10s or 8s get a free card. Nice little bet here in Kolonias. He's got backdoor. This is enough to call, right? Because I know you say if you don't got a backdoor,
this is better than that 9 deuce call. Oh wow, he's raising.
Is this
Alex
better?
It's better as long as he continues telling the story, right? Because you can't just expect your opponent to fold immediately. Well, there's the 8 of hearts, but there is an ace of hearts on the side of Ben Ward. I didn't even realize that. Uh-oh, no. This is pretty sick.
If I was Kolonias, honestly, on this turn card, I would fire again. It's not gonna work, but the truth is, it's say his opponent has a queen jack, no heart, or even with a heart, it's hard for him to call
Wow,
again.
that's such a big bet, Nanonoko. He's betting, what is that, 14 big blinds on the turn with a pair of sevens and the king high flush draw that we know is no good. Man, this is scary though for Ben Ward. Like,
It
you
is
have to
scary.
call. You have
But
to call, right? Because
without the ace of hearts, he
you
probably
can
would
fold.
not call this.
Mm-hmm.
But with the ace
Yeah.
of hearts, it's like, I hope I hit it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. And if he doesn't, maybe trip jacks is good enough. Like, yeah, there is 4 to a straight, but if he does check to me on the river,
but this
man,
is a
what a
lot of
spot.
chips. It's 5.7 million chips, like you said, 14 big blinds. It's if he calls here and loses it, it's still a lot of chips to lose.
Yeah.
He makes the correct call, and honestly, Colonius, he's got to give up. There's nothing he can do here.
Oh, there's no way. You'd be an absolute psycho to jam or bet 8 million here.
Oh, wow.
It would work. Oh, he checks.
It would definitely work.
All right. Now Ben White is wondering, like, does my opponent have a 10?
Ben Ward is thinking about turning his hand into a bluff. We know he's got the best hand. But he's thinking, if my opponent had a flush and he bet this turn, would he continue firing again? If he had a 10, honestly, he probably would fold if he to a jam. Like,
yeah, because he has the ace of hearts.
Yeah.
This is funny, man.
Yeah.
Ben was like, whoo, got it through. It's like, mate, don't worry. You had this. Well done. Sick hand, though. Sick hand.
Good read from Ben Ward. I think that's actually a reasonable spot to turn your hand to a bluff because with that river card, he's afraid Kolonias randomly rivered the bottom straight or like 2 pair, and he doesn't beat those hands, but he knows those hands would fold. That's a nice hand. That's a fun one.
It's funny how they had queens against ace jack and kept it at a 4 million chip pot, but then with king 7 against ace jack, somehow we managed to get 20 million in the middle.
Yeah, you can see how Kolonias was like, I'm just gonna go for it. He's actually put himself in a little funny position now, right? He's out chipped 2-1 to the chip leader. A lot of short stacks out there. But he's like, I've won 1.3 million before in WSOP main, so I want to win that again. Ben Ward.
And what can absolutely defend here, right? Like, even if Alex Kolonias has a big stack, like Jack 9 on the big blind, I think you can defend.
He's not going to fold, Roddy, but he's thinking about making a play because of how big the stack sizes are, the difference that he's rips it in.
It's ridiculous, but I do love it. He's like, you know what, you and I, we were even before, but we are no longer at the same playing field, mate. I've leveled up, and you need to preserve your stack. That is sick by Ben Ward. Absolutely brilliant play.
It was a 40 big blind jam, but he doesn't even think Kolonias would call off with 2 jacks there. And I think he would have to fold 2 jacks, given the stack sizes of everyone else.
Everybody
they are
else,
so short.
It's like the only thing you can call aces, kings, maybe queens, but even queens would be scary.
Yeah. You know what, Roddy? I think we both win today. I think Ben Ward's going to take it. I'm going to win you're going to win the final table betting. I'm going to pick the winner. Like right now, we finally have a situation where a clear chip leader is just he's crushing now, right? Like he's been a little bit quiet early because he's been getting the tough spots. He hasn't had the spots, but
you haven't even finished your sentence yet, and he's blasting off, throwing that on the turn. Like, I don't know what you've done to require all this power that you have of cursing people, but you're not even done with your speech, and he's already losing chips.
I'm actually surprised he checked this, Roddy. I thought he was gonna blast again with the 9 of clubs and just lose like all the chips to the second nut flush. Like, yeah. Whew. We dodged the bullet, right?
Okay, yeah, I was about to say we probably bet small, right? Like a little more than a big blind. That's what he does.
Yeah.
Don't get out of line, Ben Ward. Don't do it.
The double check, the check raise. Yeah, right. Small bet is good. Your hand is too strong. You don't want to let your opponent get away with drawing. Check raise.
You are responsible for this, Nanonoko. It is you and you alone. For everyone in the chat right now that's like, wow, what is Ben Ward doing? It's not Ben Ward, guys. It's Nanonoko. The moment he starts his speech about somebody winning this tournament, you just snap your fingers and 3 hands later, they're the short stack. It's absolutely unbelievable, but it happens week after week.
Yeah, wow. Ben Ward. Did it, you know, in that the hand history where he bluffed off 9-7 off, so he's got the 9-4 blind versus blind. It's like a very similar board. Thank God he didn't go for it on this river card. Yeah.
The board paired, but Javier Gomez probably still confident enough to go for a little bet, Nano. I don't think we need to jam or anything, but
He's trying to figure out what size to use.
Yeah. 2.2? 2.5.
Smart.
I like it. Makes sense. Like, obviously, you're always a bit scared because you're like, I like my hand before more, but these are just the moments that you need to pick up a couple of those very valuable chips. That's big for Javier Gomez, man. We haven't really spoken a lot about him, but he's casually sitting at almost 15 million, I know.
Yeah, he's only got 16% VPIP, but it's way more than the 6% on the top right. 6%, is that even possible?
Yes, we have seen zero.
Do you see that jam there? King Deuce. It's a big jam.
Got a riggedy ace to fold, right, in the small blind.
All right.
Fuck. No, we're not jamming pocket eights.
Yeah, but he might fold. Open.
Yeah, we are folding pocket eights, but we're not jamming it.
We might be open folding eights. See, we are open folding 2-8s, Roddy.
Yeah, what? Yeah, but I'm not even surprised, Nano. I expected that. Yeah, I honestly expected it. That's why I didn't make a fuss out of it. Now, Krasimya Yonkov is absolutely jamming ace-king suited.
Well, Roddy, we know that's going to happen. Where are we at on payouts right now?
Well, that's a good question. I'll take a look for you. Obviously, next payout is going to be $447,000. You guys can see that in the top left side of our stream. After that, it becomes a $100,000 pay jump to 547, then a $120,000 pay jump, then a $170,000 pay jump, and the top 2 players tonight make over $1 million. It's kind of sad, by the way, for I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of this Lina 900 guy making $1 million final tables. You know, just kidding. I actually like Lina 900 a lot, guys. He's just costed me a lot of money at final table betting and knocked me out deep of a 1K turbo, which I'm really scarred by. But yeah, those guys have been grinding final table after final table, eventually breaking that $1 million barrier in the high roller super millions. And the top 2 players tonight also make over $1 million. That's pretty crazy.
This is Ben Ward's first final table, first super million appearance. This is I wonder if he's going to come back. Do you think he's going to come back and realize, man, these guys are...
Mate, he's firing 7 bullets next week. Okay, I'll guarantee you that.
A7.
Okay. I do think we jam this. I do believe that he will jam this. Yeah.
Okay.
It's so much less scary when there are less people behind you. You know, I think me and Weitze, I think we are at the same level. Oh, Queen 10 suited under the gun opening, but we know that Javier Gomez is sitting on ace king suited. Nano, do we jam ace king against under the gun open?
Of course. This is a different under the gun. It's a 6-max under the gun, okay? This is not a 9-handed table. Even 9-handed I'd be jamming too.
No, just double checking. Well, he will get it through. Krasimya is like, damn it. Finally trying to build a stack. Getting a little more adventurous, opening up a good old Queen 10. Then you have to deal with that nonsense. I feel like whenever people have 7 deuce, they always think about becoming a legend for a split second. He's like, shall I just jam it and show it?
Look at this. Ben Ward is just jamming the button despite Javier Gomez sitting there 32 big blinds. He's basically trusting that this guy will play ICM perfectly, right? Like he can't call off.
I mean, you've got Shankar Pillai on the big blind with 12 bigs. Then you have Krasimya Yonkov with 11 bigs or 12 bigs. Whiteson with, well, 18 bigs, but he doesn't play a hand. So yeah, I like what Ben White is doing. It makes a lot of sense to me. I would at least call here, but you can also jam.
I love this jam.
Yeah.
You got to do it. The guy's playing every hand.
What do you think would have happened, though, if Ben Ward would have just jammed this again? Do you think he would call off with ace-3?
He would fold. It's a different scenario. That's the thing of ICM. You don't want to call off. You want to put the pressure on or just fold outright.
It's scary, obviously, for these guys. A 100K pay jump. Ace-4 suited. Normally, slam dunk all in. Kind of doing it. He's leaving some chips behind, just in case, but... Oh, well done. That's gotta feel so good. This is really tense for these guys, right? Like every big blind, it just feels like, I'm rich, baby.
Oh, pocket fours.
He's probably gonna fold, though.
We might see a flop. If Ben Ward on min raises and gets 2 wise, he'll have to see a flop of 2 4s. We can see if he can hit it. There's one left.
Yeah, there's only one left. Like, that's something that happens very often, but let's see. Are we seeing a flop with pocket fours? 19 bigs?
You got to. Like,
18.
at least this hand's easy to play post-flop. You either hit it or you don't.
Yeah, with only 1-4 left in the deck, it's pretty hard to hit it. It is technically a pretty good flop for pocket fours. You've got second pair, but he's gonna fold, isn't he?
You like how Ben Ward's like, I know I just need to bet the minimum to get this done. Wow, he makes the call.
The man believes in pocket fours. My man.
If Ben Ward can make this another bet on the turn, that would be amazing. He's basically just putting his opponent on just having to fold. He's just too tight. Because I think he thinks his opponent has a king a lot, to be honest.
Of course.
Like, to check call that flop.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what would Whiteson call this flop with if he doesn't have a king? Ben Ward does make a bet, and it's a much bigger bet, and this time Whiteson is forced to fold. Very well played by Ben Ward. Obviously, big stack power poker, but well done, man.
Yeah, he was going to jam that river, I'm pretty sure, and expect King Jack to fold there. That's the thing. Like, Ben Ward he's on point. He's really understanding what his opponents are doing, what they're up to. He's going to get a nice little walk around here.
Yep. 7-3, not the hand that Weizen wants to go for. Man, it's so close at the bottom, right? We've got 3 guys all sitting at that 14 to 16, 17 big blind ratio. 9-8 folds. This is slam dunk jam. King deuce suited. 30 big blinds.
It's never a slam dunk jam when we're playing 30 big blinds, to be honest.
It is, mate. Look at the stacks around him. What is he gonna call with? You block ace king, you block kings, slam dunk, Nate. You don't even need to look at that deuce. You only look at the king. That's all you need to look at.
We know Ben Ward is not afraid, right? I'm surprised he's not going for just like a 4x open or something, something else that where it kind of gets the job done, but still,
Yeah.
He might get caught sooner or later, right? And it's going to be a disaster if it's Javier Gomez who catches him. But
well,
the mathematics do say he's going to keep folding.
But Javier Gomez needs an absolute monster, though, to call this. I mean, I like what Ben Ward is doing. I love it, even. I think it makes perfect sense. And Javier Gomez is obviously aware of what's happening, but you cannot do anything about it. It would be absolute IEM suicide. Or ICM, excuse me. IEM. I casted a tournament the other week. That was the tournament I casted. ICM suicide to call off it like an ace-8 or an ace-9 just because you think you're probably good. But what does that mean, Nanonoko? If you have like 59%, do you want to put your tournament life on the line? No, you don't.
This is awesome to see. Like, you said something important during the final table betting segment. You said, look, there's big ICM pay jumps potentially. I'm curious if the king-queen plays. I'll finish my statement after this hand.
I think he folds.
Think he folds?
I think he folds.
If
it was suited, he would. I think if he was suited, I think he would send it.
This is a standard jam normally, but you might be right. He play jams. You made a good point, Roddy, in the sense that you think the big stacks have the edge because everyone's going to fold much more. We're seeing that right now, right? People are folding a lot. Ben Ward was the chip leader. Kolonias, both of those guys actually been going for it, right? But now we've created one clear chip leader, and he's definitely going for it. He's got an extra edge that he normally shouldn't have.
We have created a monster in Nanonoko because of the King 7. Like, we had two guys that could very well just take turns on who wants to dominate. But now we have one big monster in the name of Ben Ward. Do like the jam here of the ace-10 offsuit. Obviously,
Yeah.
pretty standard play, but I like it.
It was a little of interest for Kolonias to make that play at that time, given the stack size of the two players. In the sense that if he was wrong, which he was.
Sevens? No? Sorry. I want to know what you would do here. You would jam or not? I think I would fold, man. I'd be a pussy, but...
I don't think I would raise like this, though. No, I feel like it's the worst option. The reason I said has Ben Ward is probably going to see a lot of flops, and what sevens plays terribly post flop with this kind of ICM stuff. But hey, it worked. Yeah. So what I want to say was Kolonias. Let's see, not too much here. Kolonias put himself in a funny situation in the sense that because he lost the 6-7 million chips here, is now in an annoying situation. Okay, he's
he
still
can't
opening
fight back
though.
anymore. Like his hands are tied because of his own
much
wrongdoings. Yeah. Well, he's gonna open a6, and he actually gets Javier Gomez to fold a7. I mean, in this way, obviously the rich will just get richer. We're playing a lot of hands. Hey, kings, ace, queen, Nanonoko. We are gonna lose someone, probably, most likely.
Yeah,
and I think it's gonna be Weizen.
What do you mean? He's got the two kings. You can't lose Weizen when he's got two kings.
I've got a feeling, mate, there's going to be an ace. This is always what happens. You fold all night long, you get kings, and then you get snapped by a random ace. Now, in this case, the random ace is pretty damn pretty. I think kings are going to be bamboozled.
Here we go.
Ace, queen suited versus kings. Can the kings hold? Well, that's a beautiful flop for pocket kings. That is a beautiful turn. We obviously don't lose a player if the kings hold. Is it an ace? No, that's not an ace. Well done. The kings do hold, so Weizen is back to 12 million. It's not much. 20, 21 bigs. And all of a sudden, it looks very bad for our Bulgarian player. Krasimya Yonkov, he's going to have to get it all in real soon, as he is down to 4.5 bigs.
He got baited. The 10 big blind open for Weizen looks like aces and kings. Maybe he could have got away from the ace-queen suitor, steal flop. I don't know. It was I would have thought about it a little bit for Yonkov. I know it's usually a slam dunk all in for 10 big blinds each, but maybe you steal flop. I don't know, Roddy.
I think ace-queen suited, I don't think you can ever get away from it.
This guy's folding 10s and 8s pre-flop.
Yeah, the 10s was a bit wild. I don't know. Yeah, you're right.
It's annoying, but I'm saying sometimes playing too fast, you might miss a potential thing that might save your chips. That's all.
Well, the kings did hold. He's not down and out. We have seen miraculous comebacks before. Lucas Greenwood won it from a similar position.
Roddy in his $200 tournament.
Roddy the other day in the 210 hyper also got it done. Don't want to brag, guys, but wow, Jack 5 just took it, eh?
Yeah, just took it.
All right, pocket jacks. I'm gonna raise it up. We're gonna jam.
Crazy daisy.
Man, Javier Gomez only has 20 bigs. That's weird. It feels like he's a big stack.
He is a big stack.
Is not a lot. 20 bigs is not a lot, Nano.
Yeah, I know. Queen 10. Let's go. Raise it up.
I feel like we have been watching Ben Ward dominate this table for an hour straight. Like, we're about to enter our second break. And all I remember is Ben Ward.
Here we go.
It's a pretty decent spot, I guess. One of the queens is dead. One of the sixes is dead too, though. But obviously, a6 doesn't need to hit. I would like it for Krasimya. Let's see if we can stay with 6 or if we're going to lose one. It's a good flop. It's a very good turn. A 3 would be sad. Don't put a 3 out there. All right, a6 does hold, so he gets the double up. Nanonoko, 11 big blinds and a dream.
It is a little something.
I feel like when everyone has nothing, it just heavily favors Ben Ward, right?
Yeah, of course.
Wow, actually, I didn't even realize that Pillai was that short. Like, Yonkov has more chips right now than Pillai. That's a 100K flip that Shankar Pillai just lost because Krasimya Yonkov did not get eliminated.
You know how mad he's about it right now too. He's like, I needed that pay jump so bad. He feels so unlucky because the guy didn't get sucked out on right with the queen 10. Well, I can tell you, I know what Ben Ward's going to do.
Yep.
If he was jamming into 30 big blinds against 20 something big blinds, it's a slam dunk.
Yeah, it's actually a nice hand to jam anyway, small against big, in like most scenarios. Everybody loves a good old queen jack offsuit. 2 more minutes. We're getting a lot of hands in, so obviously the blinds are gonna go up real quick. Jack 10, queen jack suited. It should be an open. Well, yeah, Alex Kolonias, his hands are a little bit tight. It is the perfect spot to open because he folds.
I'm surprised because he has opened some marginal hands too, but I guess at this point he's like, I'm waiting for the break. Let me get there.
Pillai is even more mad right now. He's like, you guys just gave him a walk. He's like, I haven't received a walk in hours. Wow, king, queen, ace, king.
You know
queen
what?
Jack on the big blind.
Ben Ward might reshove this hand.
Yep, and one of the queens is dead.
I think he might. It would be a good play, to be honest.
Yeah.
Kolonias would have to fold so many hands.
Well, imagine if out of all people, Alex Kolonias would bust. That'd be so sick. That'd be so sick.
Wow, he folds the ace king. Great read somehow.
King
already.
Queen. King Queen.
That's a great read.
All right, Queen Jack does make the call. Ace King doesn't flop anything, but it is still good. I almost would have liked him to open jam here, Nano. He's got 2 overs to the board. He's got a backdoor, straight draw, very weird one. But like this board connects more with him than it connects with the under the gun range of Alex Kolonias. Like, I know it's easy to say from here because we see that Alex Kolonias doesn't have a pair, but yeah, you're the shortest stack by far. Well, by 4 bigs. I think it would have been all right. We'll talk more about it, guys, after this break. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying the 39th edition of the High Roller Super Millions. We are down to 6, and we'll continue the action in 4 minutes.
Well, he seems like a nice guy with a lot of money and high ego, so hopefully he accepts the challenge. And
I accepted this match because I love the challenge, and I cannot wait to take this guy's money.
Even worst player can win. That's the beauty of poker. You know, in chess you don't get that. You always know who's gonna win. That's why I'm 100% confident.
I'm pretty confident in my game and ability. I will obviously prepare, but
that's the game. So I'm totally confident in my abilities, and I work more than anyone in this industry. That's 100%, like, no, undeniable.
Hopefully gonna pick up some tells, and yeah, that's gonna be the most fun part for me about this game.
I'm just built that way, that I just like competition, I like tough matches, and I just enjoy the game.
Playing on the highest level against the best in the world, it's always been a love of mine. I love the challenge, I love challenging myself, I love challenging others.
I get like almost same, if even not more thrills by playing the game. I love competing against strong opponents, making my adjustments, being focused, and then money is also there. It's very fun, you know. The poker game is like, it's amazing. It's like life.
I really like that process of that journey of becoming better and growing and just becoming an overall better player.
I just feel like cash game players are way more technical, way more professional.
In tournaments, I feel I got the better of him, so that's more...
He obviously wants a flip versus me, so... It's
a new format for me, so I haven't really been playing much heads up, but I love it. So I will try my best to get into it as good as I can and get as good as I can in a short period of time.
I mean, I shouldn't say it, but I hope he'll have enough fans that will bet on him. So I'll get better odds.
I'm not sure if I'll take many side bets. I'll see if there are some fun ones popping up, but I mean, for me, it's really more about the excitement of playing.
In terms of win rate, I think like 20 BB should be fine.
He's gonna be on Zoom, which I don't think he's often when he plays online. Like, this is the edge I'm looking for. So Victor, better watch out.
Smoke a cigar, or maybe do some stretching and drink. I don't know how much he wants me to drink, but I guess that will be my preparation.
Better don't drink too much while playing. Better don't laugh whenever you have a bluff. And
Like, I don't even see him as my opponent. It's just like just a random guy I play sometimes, and it's okay. I probably have few tables on the side too, so it's fine.
I'm gonna get very lucky,
They were so fucking easy, man.
and I'm gonna spank that petulant child.
Welcome to the face-up challenge.
Elkie was waiting to come back to the final table.
Radar holds things. Oh my god.
Michael Adamo is the best.
We are witnessing absolute domination of Ben Ward over the last 45 minutes. The rest of the table is kind of just waiting and praying. But hey, look at Weizen opening up King Jack suited Nanonoko. He's a new man.
That is it's a big open for him. But you know what? At this point, everyone knows he's playing so tight. Yet 7-3 student still sees a flop with him. That's the thing. It should have got it done. But Kolonias, he's willing to take it post flop as long as his opponent is unpaired. Wow, big bet.
Yep, that is adventurous, I gotta say. Very, very adventurous in a difficult spot for Alex Kolonias too. You flop a pair, you have some backdoors, you have all the backdoors even.
Normally this is a slam dunk call, but one, he's up against Weizen. He's up against, oh my god,
No, his hand
we
became
lose?
so big.
We might lose Weizen? Is that possible? Is it?
I don't know. I think it would make sense to check here. Like, yeah, you've got the flush draw, but
Yeah,
like,
no, check it.
yeah.
You don't want to bust because of Shankar and Yonkov there.
Exactly. There's no need to do it. So he checks it back. Obviously, the flush does not get there. We do have trip trees for Alex Kolonias, who now hopes that Weizen has an overpair, but an overpair would have bet the turn, so that normally at least. What is normal tonight, Nanonoko?
Yeah. No, he should be sizing big though. An overpair is what he should be targeting because maybe his opponent's just playing tight with 2 kings or something. Because ace high is never calling him, so just target the hands you think would call.
5s and 7s. 5s fold. King Jack. That's one of the shortest stacks. It's a tough call to make with 7s though.
Yeah, it is tough. It is tough. But Kolonias might be able to make it. He is kind of a guy who's willing to look for some spots.
I would not fault a fold here at all, but that's also because I'm traumatized with pocket 7s. I'm a very superstitious player, and no hand has caused more pain to me than pocket 7s. But Alex Kolonias is not afraid, and he will fully send it. And that's the last thing that Krasimya Yonkov wanted to see. But he will still make the call and at least receive the good news that he's flipping. He's not dominated. He's not behind. He's flipping. But he needs to hit a king or a jack. King or a jack on the river. Give us paint. Give us paint for a sweat. Oh no, that's it. Man, that's brutal. You get it in with King Jack. Best case scenario, perhaps, right? Against a low pair. But he is still out. So all of a sudden we're down to 5. And hey, Alex Kolonias is completely back. Because now Ben Ward needs to respect him quite a bit more.
Yeah, but he's not. That's the thing. Ben Ward's going, I'm still going to punish you. But no, these are the two guys that have been. Obviously, Ben Ward's not scared, but Kolonias, he still battles. I'm liking his situation. I really just feel like it's going to be these two guys going heads up. The question is, who gets 5th, who gets 4th, and who gets 3rd at this point?
All right, so congrats to Shankar, Pillai, and Weizen for getting the 100K pay jump. That's obviously big. The next pay jump, though, Nano, 120K. Yeah, you'd love to make that one too if it's possible.
Yeah, for sure. If I'm Weizen right now, I'm folding everything but the biggest premiums and waiting for Shankar Pillai to potentially bust out before me.
Yep, or at least let him get all his chips in before I have to get my chips in.
Interesting limp from Ben Ward. He's usually been jamming these hands.
Yeah, almost like he's trapping because he's like jamming absolute trash and he's like, I've got a good hand here. Maybe,
All
wow,
right.
2 pair.
Ooh, 2 pair versus
flush draw.
Yeah, and the overs. He's going to bet again.
And the gutter ball. Jack for a straight.
I'm really shocked he didn't raise pre-flop though. The king queen just seems like Gomez will always take a free flop, so seems like a little bit of a mistake.
Gomez with 2 pair. Obviously, we like 2 pair, but that is a pretty scary board. 3 hearts. There are a lot of straight draws possible. He bets $1 million, basically 1.5 big blinds.
But Gomez is never folding this hand. Like, honestly, he's seen this guy check raise him up to 9-4 earlier, right? Like on this similar board, similar situation.
What if Ben White does raise here, and he does, to 3.1 million? That's tough, man. This is actually tough. Even with 2 pair, it becomes tough.
But he's seen Ben Ward do this play earlier with the 9 of clubs on that board. Very similar. He makes the call, and I think Ben Ward's going to lose this stack. I think he's going to value bet this king queen.
I mean, if he bets 2 or 3 million, he's going to get called. But what if he bets 9 million?
I think he still calls 9-4. Unfortunately, I
think?
I mean, I don't know, but check, snap check, and
snap check. Yeah, I totally get that snap check back. You're just like, please tell me that 9-4 offsuit is good here. Yeah, I'm totally with you about everything you said about the pre-flop action. It would make way more sense to just raise. If he would have raised, none of this would have ever happened. 9-4 would not have seen a flop.
Yeah, that was I don't fault Gomez for snap checking that one back. I mean, I think it was a slam dunk value bet, but because of the ICM stuff, like, okay, we get it. 100K pay jumps. Like, there's no way he's behind there, though. Like, to be honest.
No, he's not, but I really don't see that as a mistake at all. With like a guy that's sitting on 6-7 big blinds, 120K pay jump. Like, yeah, he's got 2 pair, but it's, first of all, it's a weak 2 pair. There is a flush on the board, potentially. I am completely on board with that check back. I'm also completely on board with this shove. Ace-9, obviously, from the small blind. There's no need to call.
Kolonias like, let me just end them with the Jack-5. Make them really have some pain.
That's bad news for Weizen. He's like, This could be an all-in and a call between the shorties. If Ben Ward folds, which I don't think he will. Oh, he does. All right, Queen 10 should jam here. And will Ace-3 suited call, Nanonoko?
This is actually a tough spot.
Yeah, it is.
Because Shankar Pillai isn't necessarily jamming too light, too, right? Like, he's not jamming 8-9 offsuits and stuff like this. Wow. Big hand.
That is massive. Now he's actually at 5.6-ish. So they're basically dead even. Man, they're killing each other, but yeah, I get it as well. 120K pay jump. Pretty big deal.
I think Ben Ward should just open a little bit more. I've seen him just jam some spots and fold some other ones, but maybe that's just because Ben Ward normally plays cash games and he's not used to opening the pure garbage and under the gun and stuff like this. But I think if he could make that little adjustment, he's going to pick up extra chips, especially against Weizen's big blind. It's just folding everything.
Javier Gomez makes the call with the suited king. Can't really blame him for it, but I do think he's gonna have to give up after a single bet, right? Even 1 million. Wow, that's as small as they
Even
come.
that
But
one, though.
yeah. You just have nothing on that board, and with the other two guys being as short as they are, there's no reason to get out of line and start floating. All right, if it folds to Benoit, which it will, are we raising 7 deuce?
No, he hasn't been taking these spots, so
No, but what about you? You just said that he should open almost everything.
I think he should min raise. Yeah, I think or something. Just the fold equity is way too high right now. It seems like free chips.
I can understand that he folded because he maybe thinks that Shankar Pillai is so short that he will most likely call or jam any 2 on his big blind. But
Yeah, but it's really not true. That's the thing.
Hey, look
but
at
you
this.
know, yeah, nice play.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just Ben Ward just not, like I said, maybe he doesn't play tournaments that obviously, right? Like, but he understands some of the dynamics.
I mean, he is heavily chip leading a 10K, 10 million
Look,
guaranteed.
just because
I
you
think
don't
he's
play,
all right at the tournament thing. Yeah.
no, I'm not saying he's bad at it. He's definitely very good. He just might not have some of the plays some of the other guys would make.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely been doing all right for himself. Blinds will go up again. Oh, if Alex Kolonias fold, are we jamming? This would be the best spot ever to jam deuces, but yeah, you can't know that. Oh, and he does jam deuces. And I think Ben Ward may consider calling.
He shouldn't be calling here of King Deuce. I know like the odds are like you might have the best hand, but like this guy folds too much. King Deuce it would be a bad call.
Well, he folds. If it's suited, would you call? King Deuce suited?
Not against that player. That's all I can say. Shankar Pillai is going to jam. 2-9 is going to go, and we might lose our little Saquon here.
Well, you say that, but deuces never loses, right?
It usually loses. It usually does.
Well, you just ruined my entire universe, Nanonoko. Van Wy's probably like, hey, I was willing to call that off with King 10 suited, but fine. Deuces against 9s it is. Is there a deuce? So far, there is not. There are hearts. Not anymore. It needs to be a deuce and a deuce only. Ooh, we got close, but not close enough. The 3 of hearts doesn't change anything. And that means we are down to 4. And Alex Kolonias chips up to 35 million. And Wiesen got his 120K pay jump. And now I think we can jam King 8 suited. Who gives a damn?
I agree. Jam to King 8 suited. Man, Wiesen got a bunch of pay jumps. This is how he wanted to start the final table with. Come in second place, fold his way to the top 4, right?
Yeah.
I think he's done that. Well done.
Yep. Wasn't smooth sailing. Maybe wasn't always pretty, especially the 10 falls like the 8. I don't mind it that much. I know it's not supposed to be right, but I can get behind that one. But the 10s, I feel 10s is just so much more powerful than 9s and 8s and stuff, you know?
Yeah, I agree. So, good game. What the emoji was that? It's a delayed one.
Queen 10 against Jacks. Queen 10 against Jacks, Nanonoko. That's an all-in and a call. Wow, Alex Kolonias is now involved in another 14 million chip pot. Needs to find a queen. Does not get a queen on the flop. Oh. There's the queen on the turn, though. Well, that's a bit brutal, but the man did get always pay jumps. No jack on the river, and this means all of a sudden we are down to 3. And 2 of the 3. It includes Roddy's pick. It includes Nanonoko's pick. It includes the 2 guys that Roddy put money on when it came to final table betting. And it includes Javier Gomez, who's been somewhat quiet, but yeah, he's just done a stunning job, right? That man came in 7th tonight, Nanonoko. He came in 7th in chips, and here he is at the final 3 of the 10 million guaranteed.
And he's guaranteed 818,000. Our last guy, Wiesen, got 669,000, which is a great payday. Like every time he got a pay jump, he won a huge tournament in his mind, right? Like he's like, I won multiple tournaments in every.
Yeah, he won multiple too. I was about to say, Nanonoko, when you play $200 tournaments, you don't win 100K prize pools, mate. You're happy if you ship 20K or 25K. Like he basically shipped a ridiculous amount of tournaments today. Could very well be the best poker day of his life. Just well done.
Yeah, but Javier Gomez, I know he hasn't played that many hands. He's got a 14% VPIP, but he has taken more opportunities than some of the other guys out there,
Yeah,
rejamming on Mueller a lot and things like that. So, he's a deserving third place finisher so far, in my opinion.
I agree. And even though he's obviously heavily outshipped by the other two, one double up and he's back in business.
Exactly.
And this could be the start, as he did flop top pair. No need for Benoit to continue, I guess, but he's probably wondering like, hey, what are you doing, short stack? Get back in your place. Stay in your lane.
But Roddy, am I able to congratulate you on winning final table betting? Like, it's like really unlikely, right? Like that
Yes,
you
I
lose
know
that.
it's really unlikely, but I feel like we've been here before, Nanonoko. Last week, you couldn't even say congratulations yet, or damn Ferrari man started beating Limitless in heads up. So, and that was a pretty big swing for me, man. That was like $900 or nothing. So look at King Queen suited here. It's getting it in.
Yeah,
No,
nice play.
Nanonoko, I would prefer for you not to say it until we're heads up. Alex Kolonias versus Benoit. Then you can say it.
No, really, there's no chance. There's no chance. It's meant to be. You've seen how this final table's played out. These two have been playing great, Colonius and Ben Ward. It just seems like they're destined to battle it out for the top spot.
You're doing
Anyway,
this to needle. You're doing this to needle me. Come on,
I'm
because
not
you know there
needling.
is a way. You know there is a way.
It's possible, but it's
Yeah.
unlikely.
Yes, I agree with the part that it's unlikely. But when you say there is no way, the universe likes to show you that there is always a way. Now we have an open-ended straight draw here against two pair.
Yeah, interesting. I think Colonius will bet with his little straight draw. Seems like a good play, actually. He might fire again, to be honest. He should on a lot of river cards, even as a bluff.
Mm-hmm. Ben Ward might think of raising though.
Yeah, it's interesting whether you should raise or call it his hand. I do see it both ways. Obviously, raising sucks if your opponent makes a play back at you.
Yeah, I like the raise. I think it makes sense because there's three cards in a row. Like, if the river is a 10, if the river is a 6, it just becomes a bit awkward, and your two pair all of a sudden isn't pretty. Another club could scare you a bit. So I think I'm okay
The
with
hand
the raise.
is the 8-7 is quite vulnerable to the river card. That's the thing. On the flip side, I guess the con would be, say you raise and your opponent has a straight, and then you could have had 4 clean outs to scoop the pot, right?
Yeah. No, I gotta say though, like final table betting, obviously, like, it's a gamble. It's always a gamble because poker is unpredictable and we've seen crazy things. But everything I said in the pre-show has been very accurate. And now I almost wish like I felt like I should have believed a bit more in my read. Because with these pay jumps and the big stacks that we had and the two big names, with the other big stack not being necessarily a big name, it made sense tonight. I feel like tonight it was a plus EV to actually go for final table betting on one of these two.
You're getting a little salty. You should have put a bigger bet out there. I see it, Roddy. I
No,
do
not
think,
so.
though,
Yeah.
you would have put more money on had it been a player you know for sure is a really aggressive chip leader, right? Like we put a Shemi on at the top or someone like that. I
Yep.
think you would have went all in. You would have won $300 on one of those guys or something. Is
Let's
this
see if Van Ward does something wild here with Queen Jack. Oh,
He
he
does.
does. Ace Queen is slam dunk call. Well, no. Unless we find a jack here. Javier Gomez is. Oh my goodness, we do find a jack. Can we find
I
an ace?
told you. I told you.
An ace and an ace only is what Javier. This is so brutal. No, that's not an ace. It's over. Man, that's actually. I gotta say that feels a bit sad. Like the man does not deserve that. He played a solid final table. Obviously, an amazing payday for him. Walks away with $818,000. But what a brutal way to go out. If he wins that pot, Nano, he's got more chips than Ben Ward. Okay.
You were ready for the speech of, "Oh my God, Nano did it! He did it!" Right? Like he's got a chance because he would have a big chance of scooping it. We're down to heads up, Roddy. Between the two guys that I think played the best so far at this final table.
Mm-hmm. Of course, they played the best, but there is always still a bit of run good involved, right? Like Ben Ward could have lost queens against Ace King, and he would have been out.
It's what's so brutal though? The last two guys that went out lost to these two guys, and they got it in bad, right? They had the 3 outs.
Yeah. Jack twice, right? Wasn't it a jack twice?
It was the Queen 10 on Queen 10 against the Jacks,
yes.
and then the one you just saw.
Yeah. Well, heads up, your pick versus mine. I made a little speech during the pre-game, the pre-show, our final table betting segment, where I said I put $75 on these two guys because I kind of felt that this time coming into this final table with the chip lead, it did matter a lot because of the pay jumps, and they should find opportunities to just print money and pick up a lot of chips. I think the payouts for Ben Ward were a little bit better, right? I kind of want to double check this. I know it's very even because I bet 75
But yeah,
on both.
it was better because he was the guy with no experience at the Super Millions. But if you knew he was like a cash game guy, you definitely would have put some money on him. But Roddy, did you mention they both are guaranteed $1 million yet? Because I don't think you have.
Well, no, I mean, we mentioned it earlier. But yes, guys, both players are guaranteed at least $1 million. The winner walks away with 1.2 million. That has to be the biggest prize we've had so far at the High Roller Super Millions, even bigger than some of the big events we had before. We had a 25K, we had High Roller Weeks. Man, this is definitely the biggest one as far as I can remember.
Yeah, it's either this one or the Connor Dryden one, but both of them are obviously huge pay jumps. So a $250,000 pay jump right now is a huge one. The two guys, see, these two guys are the high stakes players. They actually play these big stakes all the time in cash games. So I think they were the most confident going into this final table. It makes a lot of sense, especially with your final table betting, that you should put money on these two guys. They'll be a little bit less scared, making more moves here and there. Who's got the edge in this heads up? It's quite interesting because Ben Ward is normally wow, look at this Queen 3 play. It's really bold.
Yes. Wow, and he takes it down.
Ben Ward still plays cash games to this day. I don't think Kolonias does. I think he probably plays more to MDTs, like a lot of the guys out there. So, but Kolonias, I was very impressed with his 20 big blind heads up in the one he won the Super Millions. I thought he made some really cool moves. It was very aggressive. Ben Ward shouldn't have as much experience in the 20 big blinds yet, but he's got more experience as a cash game player, I feel like. So it's quite interesting who's actually got the edge if stacks were even.
I have no idea. I would probably give it to Alex Kolonias because he did win a High Roller Super Millions before, and I think it's easier. You know what's funny, Nano? Now that you said it like that, where it's like, it's a $250,000 pay jump, I'm like, wow, that's actually massive. But in my mind, they're both winners. Like, if second place would have been 970K, I'd be like, you really want to win, you know? But it's over $1 million. Is it $1,900,000? Yes, but it doesn't matter, guys. It's over $1 million. I feel like $1 million too. Who cares? But 970 or 1.2 million. That's where you start caring, Nananoka.
Yeah, almost looks like the pay jumps were set in a way like we got to make sure someone else gets $1 million, right? Like we can't give the guy 980K. Let's just bump it up just a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, be sick if Alex Kolonias wins his second High Roller Super Millions, and that would probably put him on top of the leaderboard. I think when it comes, I'll do some research, Nana. While you take a look at this heads up.
No, if he wins, you don't need to look, Roddy. He for sure would be the biggest winner. He'll be up at least 1.25 million, like because he's definitely not losing. He's already won a Super Millions, so yeah. Hands down, he'd be the biggest winner, but he's definitely one of the top winners anyways. Ben Ward is obviously going to be a big winner too.
Well, Nicholas Osted has won 1.8 million so far in the High Roller Super Millions. Before tonight, Alex Kolonias, where are you? I don't think he was super high up.
Kolonias should have 300 to 400K, I believe. He has
at least
467,000 based on the final table profile.
Yeah, so he's not the biggest winner. It's still Nicholas Osted.
Yeah, but we talking about profit or we talking about winning? See,
no, I'm talking about the winnings. Like
okay, but Kolonias will be the biggest profit winner for sure if he wins this one. For sure.
All right, he has, oh my God, yeah. Events played 29, total entries 55. Yeah, Nicholas Osted 70. Well, it's still very close, mate.
Hey,
because Alex
I don't think Kolonias cares. I think Kolonias just wants the 1.25 million in his account right now. But you know what?
I'm not saying that he should care. All right, let's focus on that. So I'm just trying to provide some facts for the people at home. Okay, there are people that have been very loyal to us. They watch every single Tuesday. They've got their own favorite players. They want facts, Nananoko. They don't want random numbers being thrown at them.
Yeah, they want the exactly, but no, we've got a nice heads-up match here. 2-1 chip lead for Ben Ward. I think we're gonna see a lot of. It's gonna be a fun heads-up match. I think these guys are both capable of big plays. I'm very excited, Roddy. I'm very excited to see that I picked a winner in a long time. Let's hope it follows through.
Yep. I gotta say, even though I have $75 on both of them, and the payout for Ben Ward is slightly better for me, I'd rather lose money and see you be wrong than win that extra little bit and see you be right.
Okay,
Wow,
so
this could
this is
be
a
a big
big hand.
hand. Yep.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
Still a big hand, right? He did check back that very strong hand to flop. Very disguised. Turns 2 pair. I think Kolonias bets, and he bets big on the turn and river. I think he's going to lose 10 million chips.
He's betting 1.1 million. Ben Ward to raise it up, right? With a hand like this. You've got 2 pair, you've got the flush draw.
Yes, the reason I say that the size is so small, his hand is vulnerable, it's disguised, lots of reasons to raise. I don't see why not.
Is there a better hand to win a tournament with than 6-9 of hearts?
It's a great one, but I don't think he's going to win the tournament at this point. It's just a little bit too much chips involved. But Kolonias, can he fold? Nope. He rivers the queen.
Oh, he rivers the queen. It is some. Oh, I'm sad that he checked so quick, though. Like, it's pretty. Oh, I don't know.
I don't mind
I
it.
feel like, yeah, you don't mind. I would like to see him bet.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's because also Queen Deuce is not even close to the nuts, right? Like he could still be behind for sure.
Yeah, but we're playing heads up, Nananoka. You're not gonna tell me we're worried with trip queens here. Like, where's the Nananoka?
He's not trying to get 45 big blinds in with no kicker. And you gotta remember, it was a check flop, raise turn, so his opponent doesn't has a straight very likely or something like that. Do you, Roddy? I don't know.
But the Nananoko, I know, just says if he has it, he has it. Like, you're talking to me about how Jack High has some showdown value and equity, and now you're talking about how we're worried with trip queens. Get out of here, Nano. Hey,
I'm
trip
not saying
fours, by the way.
But I think in general, though, a lot of guys don't like to retake the lead like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Jack 4. It's good.
Jack 4 is good. Trip 4 is still good. Obviously, Alex Kolonias had a couple of cards to retake the lead. A 10 would have been good. A club would have been good, but we don't get there. Jack of clubs would have been a disaster, but it doesn't matter. Well, I think we can...
It's a tough
It feels
spot.
bluffy. Yeah, it feels bluffy. I can understand if Alex Kolonias calls here. I'd be like, is he trying to get me off a 10? Because that's what it feels like.
It looks like a 4 or nothing. Because it went check on a flop. You expect an ace to bet that flop. I think he might even call here. Like the queen's it looks scary too, right? To a 10. So it looks like, oh, is he trying to move me off my hand? But a nice fold.
Yep. May seem like an easy fold, but I think folding any pair is pretty difficult in heads up. The 10s there definitely could have been good. So it's 400K, 800K, which means Alex Kolonias at this point is playing over 40 big blinds. Hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah, they got a lot of stack to play for. This is Kolonias' second final table. He's 1-1. He's got a million guaranteed in the second one he final tables. It's pretty sick. He's very impressive. I'd rather be that guy than the guy who makes 10 final tables but gets 7th, 8th, and 9th every single time, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if you get like top 3s and top 2s, then it's not too bad if you don't win one. But yeah, finishing 7th, 8th, 9th on the final table, it always hurts. It's the worst.
So a bit of limping right now. We are playing pretty deep still. I can't wait for the next level. Is it going to be 501 million or is it going to be some funny 450, 900K?
Be a big jump from 400. Maybe it's going to be 500K, 1 million. I'm sure we'll figure it out. I'm sure we'll get there. Now, as we just keep a close eye on these hands and we'll see if any big pots are brewing. I think it gives us an opportunity to talk about Limitless versus Fedor Holtz. It continues on the 10th of March, and then it will have one final session on the 13th of March. At the moment, Fedor Holtz is leading by $52,000. I hope that we get some fireworks in the next 2 sessions. Will you be watching?
I want to watch it for sure. If not, you can always watch the replay on GG YouTube channel. Is that right, Roddy?
That is absolutely correct. With commentary by the one and only Joey Ingram, mate.
It's a good one to have. He's always super hyped, like at
Yeah.
any moment, no matter what's happening.
Joey is sick. What's funny though is that he was talking about his podcast he did with Limitless, not the most recent one where he basically called out Fedor and said he would play him drunk, but the one he did a long time ago. And that's the one that I watched like 3 times. So he was going over some of the facts of his own podcast. He's like, "Oh yeah, I think he lived in Germany or like in Poland. I don't know." And I was like, "No, this is how it went." Pop. Like I knew all the facts because I watched that silly podcast like 3 times. I'm like, "Damn it, Joey! I know your own podcast better than you do." But he's probably thinking like, "Man, this was recorded 5 years ago. You know, who gives a damn where the boy played handball?"
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's definitely something to watch. And being up 50K, he's only up 2.5 buy-ins, correct?
Yep, that is correct.
Yeah, so it's not one of those Daniel Negreanu bloodbaths, lose 10 buy-ins in one session, like minus 300K.
No, it's not, but they're playing only 400 hands, well, between 400 and 500. I hope that they push it a little bit, because we do want to see some proper fireworks. It's been fun so far, but definitely hope that they go all out in the last 2 sessions. As Ben Ward is sitting on Trip Kings.
Yeah, and actually his opponent, River, a jack. Kolonias in a lot of annoying spots where he has a pair, but he feels like he should fold. He's folded once already. But sometimes when you keep folding, you start to look at the call a little bit nice, and he does make the call. Bad news.
I think this call completely makes sense, right? Because Ben White has more chips too, so he's a little more likely to try to steal a couple
this
pots.
could be it. This could be it, Roddy. 100% these will go in at some point. Pre-flop, 100%.
Yes, 100%?
100. No,
right.
200, 300, 400%, Roddy.
Nanonoko is sure that this is it, guys. Ace King is going to bump it up. Will Nines just jam? It would be a big one, but obviously with 5 million in the center already.
Yeah, he'll either jam or 4-bet call it off. Regardless, it's going in. I hope you're excited to call out some cards. Here we go.
Here we go, guys. Pocket nines versus Ace King suited. If Ace King gets there, this tournament is all over. There's the ace, which means we need a 9 for Alex Kolonias, or Nanonoko has picked a winner. Is there a 9 left in this deck? It's not a 9. It's not enough pips. GG, guys. Ace King holds after the flop. Ben Ward walks away with $1.2 million. Alex Kolonias finishes in second place with also over $1 million. And that's going to do it for our 10 million guaranteed special edition of the High Rollers Super Millions Week 39. Nanonoko, I think a pretty memorable one for a couple of the plays, especially in the first hour, right?
Yeah, it was definitely very memorable. There was a lot of interesting plays because of the huge ICM implications. You mentioned it before. There's a lot of big pay jumps and people are going to make some tighter folds. The big stacks have the advantage. You went with a read at the final table betting. Look, people are going to be tight. I'm going to bet on the big stacks because they're going to have advantage. They're going to pick up a few extra chips. That was Kolonias and Ben Ward. They made it to the heads up. I think it was very well deserved. They played phenomenal. I think the other player who played really well here was actually Thomas Mueller, but he got coolered out with a big stack, ace king into 2 queens of Ben Ward. And he finished it much earlier than that. But Ben Ward played phenomenal today. In the beginning, the first hour, he came as a chip leader. He didn't get any easy spots. He didn't get no aces and kings and knew what to do. He had a lot of marginal spots, but he played them very well still, especially like the ace queen against Kolonias' queen jack. He got him to fold the best hand. That was a really nicely played hand. Ben Ward played phenomenal. He knew where his opponents were at. He knew they were playing tight. He made a lot of all-in jams for a lot of big blinds, just knowing they're just going to fold. I picked him to win. I was right. He's the cash game player, high stakes. Still plays cash games on GG at high stakes. It was just a resume that is likely to win, Roddy.
Yeah, he played very well. It's well deserved. Of course, biggest hand he had was definitely the queens against the ace king. I mean, that's just one of these hands that you need to win it. And if you win that, then you can go all the way. It could have very well ended there. But yeah, that was unfortunate for Thomas Mueller. Makes me think as well, when Ben Ward had all those chips and he just started jamming, right? It's almost like he jammed over Javier, Javier Gomez? Gomez, there we go. Sorry, not Nandes. That's Jane Endes. I'm watching too many PLO videos late at night, Nano. It's almost like he wasn't there, right? It's like he's jamming into the big blind, but then it's like, hey man, like I've got 30 big blinds here in the small. Why do you keep jamming over me? But yeah, Benoit just played it out in an excellent manner. Definitely a fun final table with a couple of very tight folds, especially the 10s fold, like 8s, whatever, you know.
Yeah.
We'll let that pass, but when we start folding 10s against somebody who opened, then again, I guess Sakwan or Spicy Chicken Sandwich, he didn't open that many hands, so I can understand that Weizen was a bit worried. It's like an under-the-gun open, and it was only King-Jack, but we know that. He doesn't know that. Yeah, that's one thing that will definitely stick with me tonight, Nano. A couple of tight folds. Next time, if we ever have like a special edition again, a high roller week, or you know, something crazy happening over at GG, and there is final table betting, and there are two guys that come in with a ridiculous amount of chips, I honestly think there's extra value there, more than in any other week, more than betting on regular MTT crushes whatsoever, because this is just bigger, and I feel like it really showed tonight that people are playing a bit different. It could be the field, but I still think people made tighter folds than they normally do.
Well, Roddy, you got 2 wins under your belt on the final table of betting again. Yes, I picked a winner, but congrats to you, of course, Roddy, on that one. I want to touch a little bit base on Kolonias. His 2 final tables, 1 win in the Super Millions, a 2nd place in the biggest one yet for $1 million. Amazing performance. He played great. I think the key hand that decided, not necessarily decided, but made a big shift in the chip stacks was the hand he defended the King 7 against Ben Ward's Ace Jack, the Jack 9-7 flush draw. He check raised the flop, which was a little bit uncharacteristic, I think, with this hand against this board, etc., etc. He bet the turn when the 4 straight came out, and he ended up losing about 7 million chips in that hand, and he gave Ben Ward the 2-1 chip lead on him, and kind of handcuffed him a bit where he couldn't open as many hands and stuff like that. So maybe that was one of the hands that kind of shifted things a lot and maybe could have changed things up. But he played great. The top 2 guys very well deserved. I just would love to see Ben Ward continue to play these 10K high Super Millions. I think he's a phenomenal player. He's got the skill edge, and there's money to be made for him.
No, like I think that King 7 hand truly was the shift in power when it came to this final table tonight. On the other hand, if it does work, right, let's say Ben Ward had a much weaker hand and he couldn't make the call, then I feel everything that Ben Ward did and everything that, you know, we said applies to Ben Ward's stack and the rest of the table, it would have been Alex Kolonias, and he would have probably ran up the 35 million to 55 million without too many issues, right, unless he would have truly ran into coolers. So I think he just took a shot, he went for it, he fell short, but in the end, still, I think a very solid run by him. Made top 2. Got a little lucky with the Queen 10 against the Jacks. Otherwise, I think it would have been dicey for him too to get heads up, right? Poor Weizen, but Weizen was in a battle for a couple of pay jumps, and he won that fight. He didn't win the war, but he won his own battle. So I think overall it was a fun edition. Well, then I think that's gonna be it for us. Unless you have anything else you really want to share, something you want to tell the people at home about.
No, it's just a great final table, and I guess in the meantime, you can subscribe to this channel and get an opportunity to watch the Limitless battle.
Look at Nanonoko, he's already becoming an influencer. I love it. Once upon a time, guys, crushing 24 tables at once, and now he's telling you to subscribe. You love to see it.
I'm washed up, Roddy. I've got to do something else, you know?
You're doing great at it, mate. All right, guys, that's going to be it for us. We hope you guys enjoyed another edition of the High Roller Super Millions. And obviously, we'll be back same time, same place next week. It is 7 p.m. Central European time that we go live, and we hope to see you guys there. Have a good night and good luck at the tables. Peace.
Elkie was waiting to come back to the final table.
Fedor holds things. Oh my God.
Michael Adamo is the best.